They made their way on stage several times already this week. But tonight, it's Clay, R7, Skylar, Albert, and Vin going into this best of 5 against the defending champions.
It is the main roster with their own signature playstyles, and we've come to expect certain things from this roster, and that might be a bit of a problem, especially against this roster.
Man, but you talk about the main 5 roster from the side of Rrq Hoshi. I'm also talking about the main 5 roster of Blacklist, Haji, Edward, Olhef, Wise, and of course the Queen. Oh my Venus. A solid roster fit for the world stage, and we're going to start off from the player room of Blacklist International. They need to pump it up, they need to hype it up. It's all about the Mlbb playstyle that made themselves known, whereas everyone has moved on to different passions or strats. They stick to their guts.
Walking into the stadium at the front, marching on, it's a Filipino sniper, also known as Blacklist Prime. This lineup has won title after title and after title, and today they're on their way to making history. They're defending their championships for the first time in Mlbb esports. Arashi, this squad, I don't know how else we can describe them. They've had their ups, they've had their downs, but here they're fighting on foreign land. Let's give it up for Blacklist International. Woo!
Man, I mean, usually we talk about pressure. We talk about having the audience in the crowd just be such a big factor. When you talk about Blacklist, though, this is where they belong. They've been here again and again, and they have proven that they are here to stay.
But of course, here comes the challenger, the potential usurpers, the fan favorites, everybody in the stadium, even back at home, they're cheering for Viva Rrq. You look at the fans, they're pretty strong, and this is their home turf as well. And they're walking up in stage. This is going to be on,
Led by their team captain, that's R7. They've come so close to that world title, M1 against EVOS Legends in Malaysia, and here on home soil, they're looking to change history. This is the King of Kings, the Sang Raja. Jaya, 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 let's hear it for Rrq Hoshi!
Looking pretty solid here, Arashi. This is basically the home ground. And you mentioned it, Arashi, this is also, technically speaking, the best roster, right?
It is the best roster that they have decided. They've experimented with so many different combinations, but this is the one that has had a lot of success, and that is, of course, D2, who you see on screen right now.
Oh yeah, the coach is led into stage by a referee, Banyu, that's Coach Achil, Coach Arcadia for Rrq, and Coach Bonchan, and Coach Master the Basics for Blacklists. And we're gonna have to start in the draft, right?
Yes.
A lot of what these two teams bring to the table, whether it be an explosive start into a snowball for Rrq, and then that very, very, I'd say, strategic and slow-paced game style that Blacklist has made popular. It all has to start with a good lineup.
I agree, because I feel like usually 60% is won in that draft. However, I feel like in this particular meta, that number is slowly rising. But ladies and gentlemen, if you notice on the screen right now, take a look. This is the outdoor stadium.
Wow.
It's all packed.
Indoor, outdoor, no difference at all, man. The supporters are here to show that they want their team to get success. And speaking of success, we talked about the drafting. And with both teams being so iconic with how they play, I mean, Achil is a man who understands, who really is sure with what he wants. If he thinks that something can work, he ensures that his team will go on with it. And of course, there are times where this leads to a bit of questionable results, but of course, when the whole team is united, when the coach understands that his players has his back, that is where the team can shine the most. And just like that, ladies and gentlemen, we're back to the drafting phase, the banning phase for game number 1.
It's Rrq Hoshi. They're the home team on the blue side, on the play. They get the pick. First up, banning out the Kaja, the Benedetta, and the Eve, while Blacks International answers back. They got the 2 picks on the red side, banning out the 1-1 and the Franco.
I think wide open right here. Carry's wide open. There's also that blue potential pick. I feel like some of the teams have already started to realize that, yes, Carry is a must pick, a must ban, but there are counters. Like, for example, the Harry, for example, the Lunox. Right now, Blacklist International, there's some MCQ that they need to solve.
Ooh, I mean, I'm wondering if you're going to see something crazy. We already mentioned earlier, both these teams have signature heroes, signature playstyles, but as Jace was mentioning, the longer this tournament is going on, the more it seems like flexibility becomes key. And now with all these strong quote-unquote heroes banned away, are we going to see something unusual, or are we going to see the classic power picks, considering that this is only game number 1, and as the first pick it's going to be that Joy?
That's a hero that rarely comes through, right? Usually you see it banned, and just in the recent days of the knockout stage is when Joy started to run rampant. Literally, when you watch the hero, right? Mostly in the XP lane, but the answer by Blacklist International, they put Haji, the KDA machine, on the Farsa, again, setting up that box in the absence of the Eve, and then they pick up the glue. So there's a good amount of dive and just blocking potential for that box that they want in the team fights.
I think it's instead of the box, it's like a circle, Leo, right? But apart from that, I am actually very surprised that Rrq did not prioritize the glue. It's mostly going in for the Joy. Now, I think we're starting to see some of the pro players starting to realize that, hey, the Joy is kind of melting on the XP lane. But of course, I think currently we're not too sure whether this Joy will be going into the jungle or Joy going into the EXP lane. Hopefully it's R7 that will be playing it. Now as the pick phase counts down, we need to see which is the best in slot border side. It is an Albert on the Fanny and the Hilda.
It's a Fanny and a Hilda and a Joy. That is a lot of early game pressure. Considering Rrq, if they want to go and start snowballing, this is a composition that can work. We talked a bit about that glue, and as well as the Joy and the possibility of flexing it around, and there's still chances available here, but for Blacklist, that is that signature asset showing up in the first game of the match.
Usually, for Blacklist International, this is where you start seeing the Estes, at least in their previous performances here at M4. They're so gung-ho and ready to just pick the Estes right when they're ready, and they're so decisive about it this time around. And I like it. This is a growth for the world champions because, again, they needed to grow in the past 3 months given how much of a struggle they had in recent international championships. I'm talking about IESF Bali. I'm talking about MPLI. So now they're trying to redeem themselves.
Definitely redemption is the king here. Well, queen here, mind you. But from the other side, oh my goodness, you know, going in the Estes, you're expecting Y to go for this very tanky front line. It's up to Rrq to realize it. Banning away the Barats, banning away the Frederick. I think these are the top bans from the side of Rrq. But Blacklist bans away the Kadita.
They ban away the Kadita, understanding that they are susceptible to just getting combo, getting dove in the back line. And honestly, it does seem like Rrq has so much aggression already available. The last thing the Blacklist wants is to deal with a very elusive roamer or mid lane like the Kadita. So right now, Barats has been banned away as well. For Rrq, with so much mobility, with so much burst potential, if they can deny the tankier members, the beefier heroes from the side of Blacklist, they can get success in the early game.
Yeah, and again, on screen, it's the Filipino sniper himself, the M3 Grand Finals MVP, Oheb, with a very powerful quote, words of, I'd say, competition for the King of Kings. Good luck. We will destroy you. Well, it's going to be tough because, again, the first 3 picks from Rrq already very strong. Very rarely do we see a lineup that has the Joy and the Fanny in the first phase. Now, wrapping up their draft, what's Skylar to pick? There goes the Harith. What's left?
Ooh, with the Harith banned down, I mean, there's still potential. Depending, it's so difficult right now because it really depends on what you want to go for. We've seen that, for example, the Lunox can come into the gold lane, but that depends, right? Are they going to try and go for early game burst damage? Because then it makes a bit of sense if they need a bit more magic damage as well. But otherwise, they might just go with something a bit more safe, something with some range, something with a bit more kite potential.
Jace, are you thinking this should be the Frederick? Because if not, I can expect Blacklist to just snap pick it as soon as we come back.
Yeah, definitely. If this ban is not a Frederick, it will be snap picked by the side of Blacklist. But that's also another thing that Rrq has also considered the fact that the Beatrix might know it's going to be the Boxer that gets taken away instead. I like what Rrq is thinking as well. Yes, there could be a Frederick pick going in, but I think a Beatrix will be better, in my opinion, for the side of Blacklist. But it's going to be the Brody instead. This is unusual coming off of Blacklist.
They're keeping him thinking. And again, the Brody is a pretty solid when you have Joy in your face, when you have a 1-1 in your face.
Joy in your face.
You can expect that the baby alien, Fanny, Albert, will be going wherever he can find Oheb or Haji. I mean, even Oh My Venus.
I mean, it's a good pick if you want to try and kite back, have a bit more self-protection, right, on that marksman role that's usually very vulnerable. But now that means that for Rrq, they can count on the fact that there's very limited amount of DPS coming in from the set of Blacklist. They have burst damage, so pick-up potential, but in the longer drawn-out fights, this Hilda might just be too beefy to whittle down, to melt down by Blacklist.
I think another thing that we also have to talk about is Wise's jungler. It is going to be Rrq that locks in the final drop, a Faramis and a Claude. Something that could counteract against the heal of Estes, but there you go, a Fredrin finalizing the drop of Blacklist.
They didn't need to rush the Fredrin. I mean, if the writing is on the wall, you know what's up. This is the right timing for it. Now that we've seen both lineups, I have to say, the Faramis in mid for Rrq Hoshi, it's going to be very 50-50. Like, if it works amazing. It makes sure that they undo the damage that possibly the sustained Estes brings to the table. But if not, it's just going to act as another possible re-engage.
I think another thing that Rrq could play this is that Faramis is not meant to basically win the lane. It is usually the Fanny that, you know, wins the mid lane by playing aggressive in the mid lane very early on.
So a lot on the shoulders of the baby alien.
Yeah, man.
Arashi, what do you think?
Ooh, I think in the early game there's so much potential. It's such an oppressive composition. They are tanky, they have decent amounts of base damage, and they have a cult altar to facilitate crazier plays. If Blacklist does not curb that aggression, they might be looking at disaster.
Let's go into the land of Dawn for game one of this best of 5. Let me hear a big Viva Rrq and break the code. Let's make sure that our athletes get the best experience first. We'll need to iron out some kinks in this competition. Gives us time, though, to digest and, of course, allow our crowd to let it in. Let the atmosphere in.
I mean, the atmosphere, we've said it again and again, but we just have to keep restating it. It is crazy right now.
Yeah.
Fortunately, we have headsets to cancel out the noise, but we can still hear them through. It's kind of ridiculous.
I can only imagine what it's like for our players. And again, that's why folks at home, and again, everyone here in the stadium, we want to make sure that they have the best experience, all the decisions that they make, all the equipment, and all the things that they need to be able to compete at the highest level are set for them, and that's why we need to wait just a little bit more.
Go.
Let's get into game number 1. Rrq Hoshi versus Blacklist International. Eyes on the early rotations. Where are junglers starting?
Welcome to Mobile Legends.
It seems like both teams are trying to make sure that their jungle is safe. Vin, of course, on that Hilda, will be attempting to try and get a bit more value, abusing that passive coming in from the Hilda.
Yeah, so it feels like it is going to be a mirror matchup. Of course, the Fanny will prioritize the purple buff first, but instead of seeing Vin, hard invading on the enemy side, it is Vin on the protective side. It's something, as I mentioned as well, All My Venus will need to stay around the mid lane, need to make sure that Haji gets to level 4 as quickly as possible.
Yep, and for the first minute, 45 seconds, I'd say Vin could be a little more aggressive, and I guess that's why Haji and Oh My Venus are staying here. That's the reason why they're trying to protect Wise and get him his buffs before, again, the much faster Albert can come in and try to contest.
A lot of situation right here, but Vin actually gets jumped on, he gets stunned, won't be enough in this early game, and this is the problem, right? They don't really have any pressure in the side lanes to try and facilitate Vin, trying to just disrupt Vice's farming pattern. And being on a Fredrin, he can hold his own 1v1.
Yep, I mean the best part about Wise going for the Fredrin jungler is that he's unfazed about the damage coming up from Vin. And not only just that, because All My Venus is sticking around the mid lane, there's a lot of heal, but hold on a second, Albert's already spinning over here. First blood going over to the Rrq Nation.
Hate it when we're right, but this is what Rrq exactly needs to do. Small lead in a minute and a half, about 500 gold, but that's what you do with a lineup like this.
We thought that the target was going to be Haji. It is Oh My Venus. Bursted even through the ages. That is unreal. Early game damage coming in from Rrq. It's not even level 4.
Yep, something to note, we didn't see this in the prep or the draft going into this. A battle spell we rarely see in game, at least in the professional scene. Yes, indeed, folks, that is Oh My Venus on the Aegis. Oh, something down bottom here.
I feel like it's just about Aegis, making sure that if Oh My Venus is able to survive even longer to sustain against the burst damage coming up from Albert. so that he could just spread out the heals. But something very interesting is Mlbb is the one that lost his life first. Haji only gets hit level 4 at the same time. A lot of pressure coming in. Albert coming to the spin, but he will not be able to find anything as well. Edward pulls the split for now. It's going to be possessing Vin for now on the middle, but here comes the call on at the same time. Haji in the back line, running out of the air shot, but will be able to push Vin out of the jungle.
Oh, that's a 1 for none. And that's Rrq with a man down. They're pushing Clay away as they start this first turtle.
Yes, Edward. Oh no, he's actually putting a lot of pressure against Albert, but Albert's actually spinning around. Look at the... oh no, Edward just managed to push Albert away, giving Wise that turtle. That is absolutely fantastic.
Rrq is going to get something back. Edward is the main target here.
Edward!
To secure it. And it's still over. Both teams duking it out.
And they're duking it out. It is all going. Oh no, Albert, he got caught right inside the turret, inside the brush as well, but he's able to cable away. Blacklist International destabilized, but Rrq on the other hand, they're not taking prisoners.
Ooh, it's just a tough situation right here, and Albert is the one that needs to back off.
Feather airstrike.
Both trading, but Feather airstrike will not be able to make a big difference. And I think Wise actually stole the orange.
Yes, he did. Looking at the board here, Blacklist have gotten a small lead. Again, 3 minutes and a half. We're about 1 minute and 15 from that next turtle. Again, let's talk about the emblems here, because again, even the battle spells have gotten already pretty tricky. Rashi, talk us through.
I mean, look at all that movement speed being prioritized. Rotations, rotations, rotations. That is what both these teams like to use to get an advantage. And unfortunately for Rrq, early on in this game, I don't think the Faramis Cult Altar can give you that much value because you don't have the same amount of damage that you can dish back out. Whereas for Blacklist, having Haji on that Farsa just allows them to just destroy Rrq when they're clumping up in the jungle earlier. So they need to wait for a bit more power spikes to ensure that aside from having a second life, they have the damage to back it up as well.
Yeah, and already, it looks like Rrq are off-tempo. It seems like Blacklist's response to this hyper-aggression in mid has found its match. Wise gets pulled very, very precariously because, again, bigger presence from Rrq here in the mid. But Turtle is spawning in the top side. Oheb pops a torn apart memory. Oh, I'm loving Blacklist positioning right now.
I love Oh My Venus positioning. In fact, being in the mid lane means that you could actually rotate all the way up top, all the way up mid, all the way bottom. In fact, even the jungle, this global map presence of Oh My Venus is there. Even with Albert's Fanny, wasn't able to match.
This is why it's just so difficult. Rrq, they want to go for pickoffs, they want to abuse Albert on that Fanny with that early game damage, but when Blacklist clump together, fight together as a team, they have the Faramis as a quote-unquote counter, but it's not working right now.
The Feather airstrike will be able to land on Albert as well. Albert will be able to cable all the way out back to safety, but that is a very low jungler. Albert needs to go back and reset. Blacklist, they have total control for now.
Oh, they go ahead and start it.
R7.
It's only R7 first to the scene.
R7, dipping and zapping around. Skylar coming in, but it's going to be R7. And takes down the sniper. And not only just that, Wise will be there to pull down the damage to cover the turtle. Wise going there, still will be able to calm Vin. Vin will also fall in the hands of Wise for now, but R7, look and destroy. Super annoying. And Haji, carrying the machine, will also fall. And right now, trying to delay, trying to actually put down some damage, but look at Skylar, he's actually pushing down the turret at the same time. Kane already here, but Edward possesses R7 right there. But what are you going to do? There's a Skylar right there, right ready for you to pop. Edward, I'm a little bit afraid of you. You have to run away, my boy. But Edward, turn it around. R7, oh my God, so much time bought by Edward.
A long-form trade there by Agent Zero, buying time, buying map space for Blacklist International, keeping that fumble in, I guess, recoverable space, and they push down bottom. Arashi, how did Blacklist recover?
They were just able to actually buy so much time in that fight, and their members were able to come back from the fight despite being taken out earlier on due to the big combo from Rrq. This is what Rrq needs to be very careful about. They have a lot of damage, but they need to make sure that they do not allow Blacklist to have multiple rotations of their ultimates.
Vin is to catch. Oh My Venus has to pop the ultimate for now. It's going to be Oh My Venus again. She's going to go over. But here comes Albert for the assassination. He finds the Queen! And we'll be able to zip and zap out of the way. Rrq on the roll right here in the KDA.
Arashi, that's Oh My Venus' third death. But wait, B-Wise. Of course, if you take down B-Wise, is going to respond. Oh, they're looking for something.
He's trying to look for something. Skylar will be able to beat MI all the way out. Edward, I don't think there's any kills for now they can do. Blacklist, they managed to stabilize for now.
Arashi, talk to me.
It's so dangerous right now, man. Rrq, I think once they have a bit more items, they can start being a lot more menacing to Edward, to Oh My Venus, and Wise. This is what we've seen again and again. Very solid damage dealers from back far away, and 3 very solid tanky members in the front. This is what Blacklist is working with right now, and unless Rrq has the right items, for now, Blacklist still has the advantage. They can still bully Rrq away from the objectives.
Yep, but it's going to be Bin that engages all the way. First Faye coming in, but it's going to be Edward. Oh no, he stops Albert right now. It's going to be Rrq battle, but it is won by Wise. And now, then there's going to be Blacklist going to try to do something. R7 all the way in the back line, looking at Edward. He's actually super tanky right now. The bench is in pop. Wise going in, the better extra going in. R7 needs to run away, and he manages to run away from the artillery strikes.
Something tells me this is the ideal engage that Blacklist was looking for maybe 2 or 3 minutes ago.
Yes.
That's what they wanted to do in that other turtle up top, and now they're able to finally execute.
They're able to pick off a win in that jungle fight, and afterwards you can see that everyone just jumps on the opportunity. Rrq, they are forced again and again to back away, but now that Skylar has the golden staff, it's gonna be something that Blacklist needs to keep in mind, right? They are working against the clock right now.
And with this 1,000 gold lead, their stats against Indonesian teams in M4 are looking a little better, right? The small lead in the mid game, 8 minutes in, 1,000 gold ahead. They're currently sitting at 0-6 against Indonesian teams. Their fate may change right here.
They have a chance to just turn it around, but look at this EXP lane. It's just constant battling, and keep in mind, R7 was able to be so tanky there due to that vengeance. This will be a lot more annoying the longer the game goes. Once he has the concentrated energy, the other sustain items, it's going to be near impossible for Blacklist to try and kill him without locking him down.
Yeah, locking down, I think from the side of Blacklist right now, they're able to stabilize one. Oh, Vin, he gets caught out. It's a whole gang, but Colors are coming in just in time at the same time. Colors jumping all the way in. Let's go, the Warlord, the end to do more than enough for Rrq to slowly take down Blacklist. It's gonna be just Wise, it's gonna be just Edward, and now Skylar, he gets caught by BMI out. R7 on the chase right here. Wise looking a bit low, Edward definitely trying to kill, and then he will try to possess, going in his basement. He got on top of R7. It's just a slow death for the joy.
Agent Zero gets his man. Down goes R7. Something tells me as we get more into the late game, there will be a cap. There will be a limit for Rrq's aggression, and then more and more Blacklist can find their way into this game. 10 minutes in.
The longer the game goes, the more healing Oh My Venus will have, but also the more damage Rrq will have. So it's going to be a bit of a balance. It all comes down to execution. That blazing duet was just so devastating, and if Blacklist keep coming together, that's dangerous.
Albert coming in, would not be able to do the retro battle. Albert needs to tap out for now. It's going to be Blacklist, going to be engaging on top of Rrq for now. It's going to be Vin, first of all, the Haji. The heal coming in, managed to sustain for Blacklist to fight.
Down goes the M-Series all-timer who hit his 500th assist in the M-Series overall win, sitting at 0, 5, and 5. The Hilda's doing its work, right? Looking at its items, he has physical defense in the Antiquiras. He's building up towards magic defense. But I gotta say, against Blacklist International, you're really only building against OHEB for physical. What's going on here?
Well, they want to make sure that their main kickoff tool, right, the tournament memory cannot be used.
Strike! Albert gets deleted right off the map as he tries to get his purple buff, and that's not a good timing for Rrq.
Arashi, back to the point.
Back to the point, man. The tournament memory is the main tool they're using right now. Yeah, the better airstrike is going to be difficult to deal with, but R7 is now trying to deal with the whole team of Blacklist alone.
Yeah, but not just that, it's going to get denied by the Oh My Venus actually heal, but the Urban Bench is actually trying to next shot. Hey, coming in with the call, making sure that the Joy stays alive just a little bit. Vin, he finds the back line, and he wipes out Haji at the same time. There'll be the trade for R7, but Oh My Venus, the damage starting to come for Rrq. Blacklist is trying to crack the bottom lane open.
Oh, they pull Edward! No. And the split comes in right on time. The baby alien has to respond to the lane up top, and just like that, 11.5 minutes in, 5K gold lead, Blacklist International turning the map red.
It's such a chaotic game, but at the end of the day, Blacklist are the ones with the map pressure advantage. now, once the Lords become even more important, they can use this to set up traps for Rrq, even though in the way, right, Rrq has a better vision game, considering that they have a very strong front line. Let's take a look at the instant replay by TikTok of that fight. Begun with R7 just going in alone, but afterwards Vin was able to locate Haji in the midst of all the chaos. Unfortunately though, it's all traded in for several turrets in the process.
Every single time, if it's Vin for Haji, that's worth it for Rrq Hoshi. But if R7 has to come along, that bundle package is way too much.
Yeah, the burst damage is something that Vin has to be careful about. Not the real manipulation, mind you. The fact that airstrike, you can see Vin has to tap out.
Yeah, and just looking at the items, Arashi, I just noticed, man, the 4K gold lead, you can see a lot of it on the junglers. You can see it on Albert, you can see it on Wise. There's almost, what, 1,500, 2,000 in between them.
Oh, here we go. The Joy Vengeance instantly deleted. That is a very scary jungle for Rrq to be in.
This is the traps you were talking about with that vision game. But look at the split push coming in from Rrq. They're trying to find value despite being on the back foot. And keep in mind, on the point of items, there is a Necklace of Durance already rushed to be built by Clay, but Blacklist, they seem to just going for the base.
Better airstrike will be used to zone Rrq right now. Albert's trying to make a play. He has to recall back the base for now. It's going to be Skylar. Oh no, he gets taunted by Wise, and that would be a monster kill. Give it over to the Blacklist jungler. And Blacklist right now, they're in the fight. What can you do when you don't have a damage dealer? Wise will say, no more Clay.
1-for-1, Skylar for Haji, and just like that, Blacklist makes a beeline for the Lord. Arashi, can Rrq contest?
Without Skylar, it's going to be a very tough process. He is the main damage dealer for the BTM members. Unless they can pick off Oheb or Haji, it's going to be very, very difficult. But Albert seems to be trying to make an attempt.
Vin, just check in, and just like that, Blacklist, let's go. It looks like they want to make sure that it's a clean go. They want a full maybe 3v5, 2v5 if they can, but with the way Rrq Hoshi are finding Haji and threatening the kill on Oh My Venus, it's not so easy.
It's not really easy at all. Skylar could just BMI right in and all try the blazing duet, but then there's the menace, right? Oh My Venus, the thorn against Rrq's side.
This is the difficult part as well. Blacklist, they are content just trading out damage because they have Oh My Venus on the Estes that can allow them to sustain through most of the damage. The same thing cannot be said for Rrq. We have to rely on a Cult Altar, right? A more decisive use of an ultimate to try and gain advantage. Vin can sustain with the shield and the healing coming in from the passive, but it's 1 compared to 5. And for Blacklist right now, they have all the map pressure in the world to work with as well. But right now, Albert is the one that's far away from this Lord. They might just rush it.
Different airstrike going in at the same time. It's going to be the Lord that will be forgotten by both of these two teams. The call already committed, but then the damage coming off from Clay. And R7 will be able to find the backline. Will be zoning everything away. Wise will be down. Oh, trying to actually do something, but I want to be able to do anything for now. R7 trying to tip his ass. The ultimate was already activated, but now Albert, he coming for the assassination. And that's the jungler gone. The jungler advantage going to Rrq.
Oheb for Vin was a good trade, but now
Skylar.
it's all going down.
No, that's not a very good sign. Rrq does have the retribution battle right now. Stop the Blacklist trying to make something happen. They need to try to land the retribution at the very, very right time. He has the retribution and he gets the Lord.
The baby alien scores it, and you hear the kingdom roar. Rrq running away. Edward and Oh My Venus trying to look at least for a trade on the map. Blacklist still with a small lead, but Rrq Hoshi scores a Luminous Lord.
They have caught up, and man, the building literally was shaking at that Lord take. That was way too close for comfort, and now Blacklist make a play for the purple. It does seem like Clay will be able to secure that buff, but now we have a bit of downtime, and let's talk a bit of the items yet again. Glowing ones have been purchased by the side of Rrq, knowing that there's just way too many big dudes on the side of Blacklist International. But on the other hand, look at Haji. That's a lot of burst damage, Divine Glaive as well, and with the truncheon, there's a potential for an outplay to happen here. Rrq need to be very careful in calculating how long the cooldown is on that item.
Oh, I think they have eyes on where Edward is. Haji pops a Feathered Airstrike, pushing away Vin. And this is what's so hard when you're Blacks International, right? You have to manage the waves because Albert's much, much faster than a majority of you. And then now you have to play honest. So far, Blacklist International have kept a small lead, but now Rrq Hoshi, they've done so well to recover. The map is blue.
I think it's the other way around. It's RRQ that's a little bit behind with goalie. They actually slowly claw all the way back, but it's going to be R7 getting a bit of damage for here. Wise in the thick of things. It's going to be Mlbb slowly healing up Wise. Blacklist International, they defended their throne for now.
This is the limitation of this team composition. Sure, it's a lot of damage. Sure, in a big fight, it has so much combo potential. But when you're up against a Barca, there is no high ground and there is no marksman to try and whittle down these turrets. So RRQ will be very, very reliant on winning fights with the Lord and then using the Lord to crack open the base of Blacklist. Now, knowing this, Blacklist can very easily adjust and look for traps, opportunities, and loopholes to try and punish RRQ.
Wise playing with fire. R7 comes in.
R7, Haji has to fly away, but it's going to be R7. I can be the outfit his way. He's all the way in the back line. He's launching alone. Play. Managed to touch go out there just in time, but it's going to be Mlbb is actually desperately healing. The fight. It's using the mid-lane. It's Elvin fighting. They get closer. Wise. Unstoppable. Unkillable. Scala and step out. Haji managed to take down Elvin as well. Elvin is not going to allow her to run away. OM is there to slide down Clay.
The only problem is they left that wave up top. But again, a man down is a man down. Albert, 30 seconds away from spawning. Can he make it to this Lord fight? Are they going to start it immediately?
They can just go for it if they really want to try and deny Albert, but that's still a risky play against RRQ's composition right now. They seem to be going for that mid-base turret,
Yeah.
but look at Clay. He's looking for an opportunity. This might be disaster for them.
Ohab going in. Clay was actually going to activate the Shadow Stampede just a little bit, try to zone it away, but Blacklist just need to love to have that mid lane, and now RRQ's base cracked open.
That's permanent damage in mid, something that RRQ constantly have to tend to, and that's what Black is avoiding. That's why they sent Edward back home. That's why Haji's paying attention to top lane, and Lord is a clean 5v5.
I think RRQ just need to execute the fights cleaner here, because earlier there's a lot of burst damage, there's a lot of potential, but when you funnel in one by one like that, it allows Blacklist to deal with the threats individually. Whereas if you come at the same time, the Fanny, the Hilda, the Faramis, as well as the Claude, they have to actually ration out their crowd control, and maybe one of them will pull through and be the deciding factor for Rrq Hoshi.
Yeah,
so they have to be very careful.
Something tells me there has to be some specific way of cascading your skills for Rrq Hoshi to get it right. Now, Vin trying his luck. R7 coming in with an angle.
Vin eventually wants to fight as well. The call to activate at the same time. Haji is better as trying to provide some high ground, some protection for Blacklist International. They shove RRQ out of the team fight.
Just didn't work out. Now
Yeah.
Edward on R7. Let's see the relentless one, not letting go. Team captain, always pushing forward,
Oh my God.
leading with boots on the ground. This joy, 4-4 and 6. That is the KDA of a true warrior. R7 wants to force the issue, and look at that wave down bottom.
It's a huge wave, and R7 is pushing it out again, but Blacklist react almost instantly. R7 can flank right here. He does have a Divine Blade. That's a lot of damage available.
Vin will be the one that falls. It is going to be the Giant going in the back line. Oh my Venus. He's actually trying to kill, but will not be able to do so. I think the one falls. There's no damage at all, but it's not Blacklist anymore. RRQ, they will try to fall this fight. Oh my goodness. The Queen will fall, and now RRQ full control of the map.
That was the exact order that they were trying to pull through the past 5-6 minutes.
That's it.
And now RRQ are threatening an inhibitor push.
It's going to be an inhibitor push right now. It's going to be Vin that's absorbing all the time. It's going to be cracked open from the south side, but Edward goes the ball. It's way to the RRQ. Blacklist, they need more time. But RRQ, they're not going to give any more time. This is game number 1, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be Wise. Definitely trying to hold, but there's so many people beside RRQ for now. Blacklist, they need to do something. What is it? Throwing punches. Not a good idea. It's RRQ. Takes game number 1.
Oh my God.
The King of Kings draw first blood here in Tennis Indoor Sinayan. 1-0 in a best of 5. That match did not disappoint, ladies and gentlemen. The Kingdom roaring. They asked for more, and just like that, we've reached an all-time high BCU for M4. That's 3.1 viewers all around the world.
That RRQ, they just inevitably will find that backline, and I think that's just the composition being at play again.
I'm hoping that these two teams are revitalized much like the stadium, because, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to go into the draft. Game number 2. almost upon us. Let's start with RRQ on the play, banning out the Kaja, the Benedetta, and the Eve, with Blacklist International taking out the 1-1, the Franco, and of course, the Joy. First pick here, gonna be that carry. Arguably the best marksman currently at M4.
Yeah, the best marksman again for 100% pick ban raid, but it is RRQ Hoshi stating the statement, I don't care about your glue. And in fact, Blacklist International, if the first thing doesn't work, I'm gonna try it again. That's insanity.
This is so Blacklist. We've seen it time and time again. It's worked for them. The results will speak for itself. They again pick up the glue and the Farsa, much like they did in game 1.
I mean, with this glue going up against a carry, it's going to be such a difficult time. Early on against a Claude, maybe it's easier, but carry is designed to deal with big HP targets like this glue. And on that note, Justin has a quote here. Advice to RRQ Hoshi against Blacklist? Nothing. They already know. Ooh.
And they showed us, game 1.
Yep.
That's how you do it, but it looks like there's more in the bag. The answer from RRQ Hoshi, it's very different from their initial draft from game 1. They pick up the Lapu-Lapu and the Valentina, which was originally a Fanny and a Hilda, so it looks like they're flexing. They're showing how deep their pockets are. Coach Arcadia, Coach Achil.
You know, Leo, it feels like we're watching a rematch from game 1, right? Like the fact that Blacklist has already drafted exactly the same thing. But I hope the last 2 picks will surprise us, right, Leo? But Arashi, looking at the draft coming out from RRQ, are you expecting something like a Fanny to come back up again? But I think it's up to Blacklist International to ban that Fanny away.
I feel like if Blacklist does not secure any particular counter to these mobility heroes, there's no reason why RRQ cannot pick up another assassin. It worked so well, especially because Blacklist is just so reliant on that backline, as we mentioned before. So they've banned away the Joy. If they don't ban out the other potential assassins from Albert, like the Fanny, for example, or maybe a Hayabusa, there's really no reason at all. So I assume that with what happened in game number 1, Blacklist will try and get some stunts, some locks to ensure that Albert gets under control.
At this point, it's not even up to RRQ anymore. This is Blacklist making the right calls to try and make up for what happened in game 1. This is what they do. They constantly try to push a strategy until it doesn't work, until it's over, and hoping that it doesn't come to match point, because again, it sucks when somebody tries the same thing over and over again, and now at least they're making these adjustments, right? They're banning out the Fanny, they banned out the Ling, which they previously did not do. It was previously a Kadita and a Harith, all the while RRQ Hoshi, they're doing the same thing here. They're taking out the Barats. Might this be the Baksha again?
I think it should be the Baxia. I mean, like, if Blacklist International is going into this game number 2 again with this exact same game 1 draft, if I were the coach, I'm gonna just go ahead and ban the Barats as well, because I don't want to really have. Oh wow! Okay, they're gonna leave it open. They're gonna ban Aldous instead.
Was that so clear from the get-go? Or were they so sure that? All right, I'm not sure if it's Arcadia or Achil who goes. They're gonna go Aldous. This is a throwback to season 8. Take it out.
Maybe they feel like when the chips are down, Blacklist will default to something that always works, right? And this Aldous pick is just really, really solid. But another pick that we've seen quite often right now is that Granger as well. I wonder if that will be put to use, because when you talk about kiting, there is a possibility that they will try and utilize that tool.
The Granger might not have to come up because Oheb is their marksman, right? And I think there was something to the whole Fredrin in the front, Estes and Farsa in the back. So I think that's where they'll adjust.
Yep, behind every strong jungler is a strong supporter. That's basically the statement coming out from Wise and All My Venus as well. Wise being the front line to tank all the hits, whereas All My Venus just heal him out of control. That's basically Blacklist International strategy. That is their brand, right?
Right, and now for RRQ, they require something playmaking heavy hero, because right now with the Lapu-Lapu and Valentina, they can try and make an engage, make a pickoff, but obviously if they have something more reliable in their arsenal, that'll be great. And the mobility for sure, it's going to be Hilda again, and that's that Lancelot, man. Talk about mobility. Get ready for Albert's Lancelot, man. We're in for a treat.
That's a classic.
Yeah, man.
I mean, almost synonymous with his name. Baby Alien picks up the Lancelot, and Oheb picks up the same hero. So I'm guessing now they've learned a lot from game 1. Could this be the lineup? Again, it feels like it's deja vu, but could this be the lineup that breaks Blacklist's losing streak against Indonesian teams at M4?
It's crazy because it's the same exact lineup.
Literally
the same exact lineup. I guess they did find moments of success, and they probably feel like it's all down to execution, right? Both teams were flexing their quote-unquote mechanical skill. So I think Blacklist is thinking that, okay, this time we won't make that mistake. We'll be more prepared. We've seen it once, right? And they'll try and match it again. But of course, as Jace has been talking about, the drafting phase is so important right now. I don't think they can really afford to just go with the same draft again.
I feel like Blacklist International is just putting out a statement there. There's nothing wrong with what I'm doing. It's about the bans. Banning away the Fanny, banning away the Ling, banning away Joy. That's something that they did going into game number 2. There's a little bit of flexibility right there. But the Lancelot game, though.
Oh, yeah. We're going to be throwing over to our Bahasa counterparts as we march into the Land of Dawn. But for you guys watching at home, welcome. This is game 2 of Blacklist International versus Rrq Hoshi. Look at this mirror start here. Baby Alien, Albert starting here as well. Wise. So again, we can expect the early game to be very similar.
I think so. Both teams will just be trying to get their mid lane shoved in, get the jungle start rolling, and now Lancelot against a Fredrin, right? Lancelot is very strong, a lot of output potential, but nowhere as oppressive as a Fanny in the early game, nowhere as much mobility. So maybe Blacklist can get a bit like a foot in the door right now to ensure that in the mid game they can actually get more success.
Well, my Venus already using the Aegis right off the bat, but I think it should be just in time for the turtle fight, right? But it's going to be a Blacklist International, right? Moving towards the gold side of the map. You want to make sure that Scarlet doesn't get the farm, make sure that Oheb gets enough pushing power.
Oh, the flicker from Haji there. So that's off timing, at least for this first turtle. But then again, if game 1 is any indication, they're going to take their time with this turtle. I'm expecting at least maybe a purple delay play from Albert. And again, Wise is also taking his time. So we'll see if that timing falls into place. 30 seconds until this first turtle spawns. That 1v1 between the Glue and the Lapu Lapu. We've seen it so much here at M4 so far. I'm thinking, what's Clay to steal? Oh, Albert coming in.
No, I don't think there's anything you can do. Haji just go into, pigeon form, just fly away. It doesn't really matter. He doesn't really care.
Doesn't really care, but right on the top side, you can see Rrq pressuring the other side of the lane to try and make sure during the turtle take they have a lead. But even R7 now already very dangerously low. But Clay gets smacked with the Appraisal's Wrath.
That damage, though, I wasn't expecting that. I was like, okay, I think he should be okay.
Clay was playing with fire there. I mean, if you were standing in front of Wise to get enough stacks to trigger Appraiser's Wrath that quickly, this Lord is just free for Blacklist.
There seems to be a free Lord.
Turtle.
Turtle.
We're jumping the guns right here, ladies and gents.
Exactly.
Deja vu, that's what it does, right? Deja vu.
We're ready for that late game already. But fortunately for both teams, the jungle has been relatively safe, but I have the feeling at level 6 or 7, that is about to change. Both teams understand that in the mid game, they have their own relative weapons in this fight, right? Blacklist has sustain and Rrq has burst damage. So we'll have to see how the execution plays in, as Edward actually disrupts Albert yet again.
Haji going in for the airstrike, gets cancelled by Bin for now. It's going to be Bin that got stuck on 3 people, but Bin will not be able to survive for now. It's going to be Clay leaning up towards, I'm not sure what he's going to do, but at the same time there's a fight happening out and actually using the Panda execution to giant on away, but Edward will be able to follow him.
2v1 here, Agent Zero walks away with impunity. No punish from Rrq Hoshi. Blacklist already 1,000 gold ahead here, 3 minutes in. A lot of outer church shields here taken out, so that means gold for Oheb up top. 3v3. Who's going to engage first? Oh, both are skittish to do it.
Both are skittish to do it because I think both don't really have a solid engage tool. Right now, it just seems like that is the play being made by Bin.
Oh, that's a lot of damage coming up from Bin. At the same time, it's going to be, my Bin is actually healing. The Tornado Power Memory doesn't do any damage from the side. Oheb at the same time, Oheb will actually try to push forward. But he's been more than he could chew. He has to fall for his greediness.
The Filipino sniper gets punished hard there. Araki, you were saying.
The Blessing of the Moon Goddess getting stolen by Clay allows them to sustain through the Federal Airstrike, and afterwards, it's just too much greed, but it's going to be the same story for Blacklist.
May have been involved. It's the same thing, but technically speaking, if you combine those 2 fights, but hold on a second, Wise. Oh no, he actually catches the taunt on top of Skylar, and he'll be no more. It's going to be Edward picking up a double kill at the same time. R7 coming in for the flank at the same time, but will not be able to find anything for now. Blacklist stabilizes.
It's a 5v4 situation with the second turtle spawning already. Still 2k ahead. Blacklist International, Wise pulling it away. Arashi, is this going to be a problem? Because I'm looking at Rrq's lineup just now. I just noticed it's only Clay who's dealing magic damage.
I mean, Vaden has a lot of magic damage, but on the note of damage, that is R7 getting taken out as well. Later on, it's going to be very easy for Blacklist to itemize against Rrq. And right now, it seems that they're having problems all across the map.
I think Albert is having a lot of problems. That is not a statement right there. Using the Thorn Rose, Edward possesses the machine.
This is just a tough situation for Rrq. Everyone on the side of Blacklist are just too tanky, and they're abusing it right now. They're standing in front of towers, but look at R7 going in alone.
Going alone is indeed the damage reduction coming in, but here comes the wall for the say as well. But oh my goodness, actually healing. Haji is actually letting a fire on top of the drop of Rrq. It's up to Sky to try to clean up. Fire coming in with the hunt, and will be able to pick up the double kill at the same time. Now oh my Venus has to run away.
They're trading 2 bodies for a push down bottom, and the Queen stands alone. Arashi, tell me what is this going to do for the economy for Blacklist? Are they going to maintain this lead, or was that going to bite them in the behind later on? That seems like a bad decision.
They have still quite a big lead. They're able to get the tower in the bottom side as well. But of course, if they keep trading kills like this, eventually the team with the better late game is going to win. And I can't help but feel that with a carry on your team, right, it's going to be very scary trying to deal with him in the late game. Of course, Haji on the far side can just zone away Skylar in these big fights, but we've seen how chaotic the fights can get. So Blacklist needs to be very careful and make sure that they don't let Rrq get anything back.
Yeah, man, Rrq are doing what they can because this is Lancelot's debut. Vin, obliges.
Oh, the big burst, not enough. And unfortunately, we're going to head will be the one that takes them in. Trading for the Roman for now. Rrq. It's going to be actually Clay that trying to heal up Skylar, but Edward's coming for the flank. He's looking for the food, and he's going to go into a split. But Oheb snipes him down.
2 for 1. Oh my Venus falls. I'd say with Turtle 10 seconds away, you have Clay out of the picture here. Blacklist has an advantage.
It's a huge advantage, and now Albert, he might try and go for a flashy play. Is it worth it though? There's so much burst damage in the hands of Blacklist. It's going to be very risky for him to even try anything. He might just be forced to let it go, but Edward will not let him go.
Something to note as well, in the roughly 7 minutes that this game has elapsed, Rrq Hoshi have not pushed a major objective yet.
A lot of damage coming out of Edward. He's just really trying to breach his first skill at the same time. Wise Horns going in. Albert was not able to find any form of entry, but Vin may be the one to be able to do that. But at the same time, it's going to be Ohab actually take down the top side as well. Edward just really trying to time. He goes into space as well, but runs into Edward as well. Haji, he's flying over, but not just in time. The turtle will still get secured by Blacklist, but that's not enough. R7 looking for the engage. Wise is going to be a slow little collapse coming over Blacklist International. Haji, better airstrike going in. Ohab snipes down Clay, and they're trying to push mid lane.
Maximum range, torn apart memory there from Oheb, popping Clay wide open. They're gonna convert into, is that a, that's,
yep, that's
grab
a steal.
that purple, he stole it.
Purple stolen by Wise, and of course, we saw earlier the turtle was stolen as well. This is a disaster coming in for Rrq. They seem to be just losing their way. They have no idea what to do, and Blacklist are just getting stronger and stronger. And with the range available, torn apart memory and feathered airstrike, Rrq, they're in a difficult spot right here.
This is literally Blacklist telling me, hey, I'm not the problem, you're the problem. I'm banning away your fanny, I'm banning away your leg. My composition is solid. This is that statement.
Yeah, no, they've converted these Ube engages into map presence, into siege balls for Haji and Oheb. Again, the Brody has to clear waves the old natural way, right? But with Oheb, again, as you say, Ooga Booga, I wreck turrets. That's what they've been doing here, which resulted in a 6K gold lead 8 minutes in.
That's the macro play we've been talking about. Rrq, they don't only lose the objective, they lose members taken out by Blacklist, and they lose the tower on top side as well. And Blacklist are trying to push the tempo here, trying to make sure that the jungle is not safe.
The pincer in, going in for the back line at the same time. Oh, just really trying to peel, but here comes the heal coming up from Clay. And also, oh my goodness as well. It's going to be Haji. Flicker right in the back spikes. The Fed actually will be able to take down one member on the side of Rrq. It's going to be Wise and take down Clay at the same time. It's an unfair trade in the favor of Blacklist International.
2 for none, and boy oh boy, they have eyes on this mid lane tier 2. Lord, level 1, 10 seconds away from spawning. I must say, I love Clay, right? But I love him more when he's playing heroes with massive range. He made the Farsa work earlier. He had the range advantage. He knows when to hook. But with the Valentina, you have to be in your opponent's faces. And if you're facing off against Blacks International with 7K ahead, it's not an ideal situation.
if you're a squishy character right now,
no, the
against
fight.
Blacklist, ooh.
Oh, the fight ensues as well. Vin managed to catch Haji for now. It's going to be, oh my goodness, the takedown R7 at the same time. The damage coming up on Oheb. The door, the bomb memory coming out. We'll be able to input Vin into a body bag.
Arashi, you were saying if you're squishy, this is what happens right here.
Exactly. Burst damage coming in from all directions. Even Edward can delete you if you're too careless. And if you're now Clay and Skylar and Albert, they are all squishy and they are powerless to try and stop Blacklist from taking these objectives.
Did you see just Wise soloing that Lord on his own?
I did. I mean, it was off camera. It was on a small little screen, but yeah, I did.
Yep.
The world did.
That's just how dominant Blacklist is right now. 9k gold lead. We saw that they had an advantage in the previous game, but not like this. Look at the items right here. For Haji, with the Divine Glaive already prepared, that's a lot of burst damage. And if you are trying to just melt down this Edward on this glue, there's just not enough items. Poison Sight and Golden Staff done for Skylar. It won't be enough to just break through the Dominance Ice and the two Kiras as well.
Everyone across the board, say for Haji, has physical damage reduction. So that's why Rrq Hoshi's engages are all the more, I guess at this point, trivial. It's so hard to find the finish.
I think the biggest problem is that if you take a look at Clay's items, right, that is not a very good item if you are Valentina. Right now, Clay needs to try to steal the better airstrike because Haji could always walk up and just basically zone it up. And here he goes. It is going to be Rrq that's really trying to defend. Skylar at the bottom side clearing it out. The Lord is actually getting killed very, very slowly. Skylar putting on some damage. Blacklist, they touch and they go. They've already taken the prize.
Good news, bad news. Clay has a feathered airstrike right now.
Yeah.
Bad news is they're inside their base, so they can only really take advantage of it. It's a win-win for now, but if Blacklist can find that engage again, Wise has been their initiation like this.
And there we go. The better airstrike going in at the same time. It would not be able to control and crowd control and deny. The better airstrike is going to be Blacklist taking down the bottom lane turret at the same time. 4 member left. It is going to be Wise leading the pack, trying to charge. Albert trying to look for some play right here to sing, but not being able to find anything for now. Oh my goodness, actually going in with the ultimate. Desperately, Blacklist is in a portable fountain.
They have 2 base turrets, and now they're going for the third. Trying to execute yet again, and Rrq, they are forced to respond, but every time it happens, it's just the wrong response. R7 now taken very low, and Blacklist, they're looking for the end possibly.
Oh no, that's ults and battle spells spent by Rrq Hoshi. They're gonna have to defend.
They have to defend. His Vin is already here as well. Wise is already taunted as well, but Albert's looking a little bit. Corner bomb memory doesn't able to connect. It's going to be Blacklist, but there is no minutes. That one way marching down, a slow march as Clay. The battle of the better airstrike. R7 trying to make the play. Will be able to find Oheb, but will not be able to do so because Oheb is desperately healing the ball. The core is getting back to the ball. Blacklist International. They are giving a statement. But Skylar, mega kill. Shuts down Edward. But look at the core. The HP is slowly. The defense coming through. But Blacklist International, they are still healthy.
3v4. Rrq Hoshi. 3 kings standing. Down goes Clay. Make that 2v4. Can they defend? It's Skylar left.
Defend.
It's just Skylar.
It's just Skylar and Rrq. Blacklist International takes game number 2.
The curse has been broken. The streak ended. Blacklist International's first victory at M4 against an Indonesian team.
They double down and use the same exact draft, and they get it done. As you mentioned, Leo, just the bands have so much impact right here, and they have shown it. Rrq, they try and do the same thing, but they do not have the same tools.
But we gotta go.
Yeah, we're seconds into game number 3, and everyone here in Tennis Indoor Sinayan can't wait. Things are about to get gila balit because, of course, if it's the King of Kings versus the defending champions, how can we expect any less? It's Rrq Hoshi still remaining on the play while Blacks International remains on the red side. There's the Benedetta. There's the Farsa taken out by Rrq Hoshi as well as the carry while Blacklist takes out the 1-1 and the Franco. Expecting maybe here a Joy? Should that be their priority?
They have banned the 1-1 and the Franco twice, the first and second game.
Yep.
Joy comes in the second game, and here I think it's still a very valuable ban to be applied here because of course it can go in the hands of R7, but it can go in the hands of Albert as well potentially. It's just such a flexible hero, and I don't think Blacklist want to deal with that.
I think right now is the fact that it feels like the pattern right here from the side of Blacklist International. 1-1, Franco ban. Like what you say, Arashi, 2 games in a row. Joy definitely should be going right there. But I think if you are RRQ right now, I think you really have to prioritize that Fanny pick right off the bat in the first pick phase.
So right here, first pick. If this is the Fanny, how does Blacklist oblige, right? Also still open. The Eve, for the first time in a while, Eve is open.
Eve is available, but it's very situational. I mean, of course, it has great poke, great utility,
Oh, no.
and it does seem like Clay will pick it up.
I know my Clay, bro. I know my Clay.
Exactly.
You know, you molded the Clay into a pot, and he will come out with that Eve. But that is also something I've seen how you can deal with this Eve before, you know, with the Fanny coming out. But I don't think Wise is the kind of jungler that will go in with his Fanny picks, right? I think he likes, you know, those Barats, the Baxia. I think those are something that we could definitely look out for.
Yeah, you mentioned Baxia, and I'm looking at how Blacklist will build that box. Because again, despite not having a Farsa, despite not having an Eve, they find a way to do that. And that's where they relish, when they're able to say where the fight happens and how the engages come through. That's why the Fredrin is such a key hero for them. Now, after the Eve, they answer back with a glue. Possible answer. And this opens up a Claude, an early marksman, a first in the series.
It's very, very early of a pick. And honestly, the glue pick seems to be very prioritized by Blacklist, but of course it has been working out. Although he needs to be careful because right now, with Yeef on the opposing team, there's a chance that he will rush that glowing one, and that will just spell a lot of damage for the beefier members like a Glue and like probably a Fredrin or an Estes, like we've seen in game number 1 and 2.
And here's the comeback of a hero that has made quite the impact in M4. There's the Rrq. Great flex though, at least for Rrq Hoshi at this point. And then the Fanny, the trademark hero for Albert. Here's a quick quote by the man you see on screen, a world championship coach, Bonchan. I hope he can change the fate of RRQ, or maybe that's what he wants. The same thing that happened in M3. He's talking about his counterpart in Rrq Hoshi, Coach Arcadia.
Yeah, it feels like the battle of the coaches right here, right? Especially prominent in this match. I started out the series, I'm telling you guys, this is basically down to the draft. Game number 2 is a clear evidence of that. Blacklist International doesn't really need to change the roster, just need to change the bands and see how much difference it makes.
Your team.
They're answering that question. They're putting in the mold that will fill that void with a Valentina. So what's Haji stealing so far? Hell, I'm not even so sure if it's on Haji, because Wise has been known to bring this into the jungle. He has a real world manipulation. He has a wild charge. What else?
Yeah, and right out the bat, you already answered the question that you ask yourself. But I really have to agree, the wild charge steal from the side of this Valentina is going to change the game so much, especially when, you know, Albert would definitely cable to a wall, right? That Rrq will want to just wall charge you right into that wall, Arashi.
Well, we'll have to see. I feel like even though this is how it looks, it seems pretty solid for Blacklist, they still require some kind of crowd control, not only for the Fanny. I think later on, once the Rrq wants to try and engage, maybe they can try and deter that as well. But the next band that they pick is going to be the Harriet, so trying to make sure that the DPS output coming in from the side of RRQ is, I guess, you know, limited, and especially because Harriet is survivable and can do a lot of AoE aside from just DPS.
Already what we're seeing from the Rrq Hoshi lineup is their box is just amazing, right? You're able to put up Guardian's barriers to say up to where the opponents can go or where you want them to stay, and then you have the real manipulation, and then Albert cleans up. By banning out the Harif, you take out one more factor, one more possible war zone that RRQ can say, because if the Zaman Force drops and it's Skylar on the offensive, best believe bodies are dropping.
Yeah, definitely. And not only just that, with the Yi going to play as well, it will be literally raining damage and big burn. Now that's a card that gets taken away by Blacklist. Another thing I also have to point out, RRQ very strong in this Fanny pick. If you notice how Albert plays the Fanny, right, was able to find the right target in the midst of chaos. I think that is something that I think Blacklist International have to start respecting.
Yep, and going into the final phase, Arashi, what are they going to get here? Because I'm not so sure where the Valentina goes.
I'm really thinking that there's going to be crowd control for sure, but maybe it's a Fredrin. We've seen that for sure. But I'm wondering that with that Fanny in particular, are they going to try and get heroes they can deny dashes, like the Mincetar, like the Kufra? I mean, it's a solution we've seen some teams explore, but I'm not sure if Blacklist likes doing those out-of-box picks. I feel like they'll rather just go for their own normal picks and try and manage it through execution instead.
Oh, I think this kind of spells it out.
Yeah.
The Fredrin will clearly go into the jungle while the Valentina stays in mid. We still don't have a hero for the Queen. And again, with that Valentina going head-to-head against Clay's 100% win rate Eve, I think it's a safer bet that they put this Fredrin in the jungle.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like the Fredrin pick is also quite a good idea, especially when, you know, you've got defender that needs to bypass you somewhere, somehow, right, through the cables. If you can time it just right, the taunt will be a very big hard CC towards this Fanny. I think the question from the side, I think Arashi pointed out very interestingly, Mincetar is something that Blacklist International can definitely explore, but is it All My Venus's identity? But before we can answer that question, it's going to be a Lunox getting locked in from the side of Rrq. That's a lot of magic damage, if you ask me, coming out from the side of Rrq, ending the draw with that Kufra as well.
Wow, that is a confusing, I would say kind of confusing to me, but now with the Lolita as well, it does seem like it's going to be a bit of a front-to-back situation, but of course, with Albert here being an assassin, that will be the X factor. If he can delete Ohab or Haji, that means that Rrq can get into a fight with an innate advantage, and that is a possibility that Blacklist do not have in their hands.
Yeah, I think right now, right, if you notice how Blacklist is doing this, I think they're putting a lot of chips into, they're literally going all in with getting Claude to scale, getting Valentina to scale, right? These two are your main damage dealer. You're not expecting a lot of damage from the other side of the team. However, something to also take note of is the Kufra could always easily cancel the Luminum Blast from the Lolita. Not only just that, the Rrq can also easily cancel it off. And I think that's about all my Venus positioning going into the game.
Yeah, Rrq Hoshi coming in. It's clear they want to win team fights. It's clear they want to engage and then capitalize and then convert. How will Blacklist play around? Ladies and gentlemen, let's go into game number 3. Audio in at the stadium, throwing over to our Bahasa counterparts. For y'all watching at home, welcome. This is game number 3. Rrq Hoshi versus Blacklist International. It's a mirror start, purple for purple.
Purple for purple. I mean, that's why it's important. Of course, in the early game, the cooldown will just make a big difference. For Albert in particular, though, on the Fanny, right, this is one of the main buffs, so he needs to make sure that he can get it without any interruption.
I think something very interesting throughout this whole series as far, right? All My Venus has focused a lot of focus on Haji instead of Ohab. Ohab, I think he should be able to handle the Lunox earlier in terms of the level, but because the Lunox is being brought into the gold lane, that's not 4 minutes problem, it's a 3-minute problem. So the heal coming out from Skylar's first skill will be a little bit skewed towards, but it's a lot of damage. 3 members already at the bottom side. Vin get terrified a little bit. No biggie for Rrq for now.
Yeah, no, this is very similar to game 2. Again, how Blacks International put the pedal to the metal early on and spent battle spells as they should to better time that first turtle take. We're about a minute away, 50 seconds before that happens. And I have eyes on Albert because this is a huge presence they have in bottom lane.
Yeah, I feel like right here, the first 2 games, they're focused a lot on the mid lane, but now All My Venus using the Flicker for now. Albert actually stunned Albert. Albert does have the ultimate this time around activated, but no kills for now. Blacklist International will side for relief.
They're trying to actually collapse on this bottom side, but of course the turtle is on the top side, so Albert goes in aggressively. He is all alone though. This might be a mistake.
Missed cable, but Albert managed to get out just nice. A lot of focus happening at the bottom lane. Skylar will be the one that we had focus on. Skylar burn off the flicker right off the bat for now. Blacklist 3 members at the bottom lane, but Fanny is slowly working towards the turtle pit.
Yep, that's key battle spells spent at least maybe seconds before this turtle, and it looks like they come to a gentleman's agreement. All right, we get purple first, both of us, and then we try to contest.
I mean, Skylar on this Lunox, right? This is what makes it a deceptively good pick. There's good sustain, good outplay potential. He's going 1v1 against Ohab right here. Ooh.
I can see the beauty of this right now. Skylar going in. Oh, will not be able to miss a shot. Skylar would not be taking down his counterpart just yet.
Oh, Vin at about half health here at level 4 already. Oh My Venus not hitting that quite yet because the Queen has been left to, again, babysit so much of mid and bottom. And with that being said, top lane.
Top lane spins to win, but Edward will be the one that wins it away. So a little bit of a Mexican standoff. A very slow early game, if you ask me, ladies and gents.
It's a tough situation for Rrq because compared to game number 1, they don't really have a lot of targets that they can just burst down like we saw to get Albert snowballing. Edward is just tanky, he can run away. Haji is relatively mobile as well, and right now they're going for the turtle play.
Real World Manipulation to go in, the liminal charges. It's going to be the move, get hits down. This two crazy Real World Manipulations putting out down the damage, but it's going to be Edward that picks up the first blood for now.
Oh, Edward forcing Clay to flicker underneath that turret. Crystal Boy keeping him where he is, but all this time, it's Blacklist who has their eyes on the bigger picture. A clear lead already, 3 minutes in, 1,000 gold. Arashi, what are they doing with that gold?
Clay is building towards mana regeneration. He definitely wants to be able to clear this wave, and Albert just comes in with some swag. Won't be enough right here. And as you can see, Skylar with the mana boots as well. He just must try and sustain in the lane, play it safe, try and avoid the ganks and possible. And on the other side, Blacklist, you can see, starts itemizing for physical defense. Again, trying to counter, ensuring that Albert does not get to snowball, because that is a big factor for Rrq's victory.
Something interesting right here. Oh, that's a wall charge already used, right? On top of Edward, but Edward just walks away, scoff it off like a boss. But hold on a second, Real World Manipulation coming down. Limited number charges. Albert will be able to pick up the bubble for now. Hydra will respond to the same. Finn coming in, just bouncing around. Alzheimer's revenge going in. It's a choke point, and the son of the map Rrq. And right now, Blacklist International picks up the double kill at the same time. Albert trying to spin the win, but we'll be able to take out the queen for now. It's gonna be the Roma traded for 2 members, but Wise is not putting out just yet. Edward picks out R7.
What's impressive is the fact that Haji did not die. I could have sworn his Valentina was gonna bite it, but again, that's just what happens when you're the KDA machine. This young man has been playing jungle for a while. His career started that way, and that's what explains his mechanics. Speaking of mechanics, Albert looking for one up top.
Not enough damage, I don't think so. Edward may have goes in the split just right in time. Albert will be getting out. Lumina Blast, oh! Skylar has to burn the flicker and an ultimate just to get out of there.
Arashi, second turtle, spawning in about 5 seconds. Who has the advantage?
I think Blacklist definitely has an advantage right now. 3K does not seem like much, but it does make a difference. And they have the pressure because we've seen that they are the ones being more successful in these big fights. They are the ones that have the beefier members that have been able to survive most of the damage. And Rrq, you have to be careful because Clay and Albert has been the main target.
Albert's in the vicinity as well. Wise will be the one that wins the retribution method for now. It's going to be Haji letting down the fire. Would not be able to stun Rrq for now. Blacklist International to pick up their prize and to walk away.
It's a bit curious right here because usually when we see Clay play the Eve against a Valentina, he is very careful in letting that Valentina steal the real manipulation. In this game though, Haji has been very active using that to spell demise for Rrq. It's just quite the interesting situation. I wonder what exactly is causing this. But as we look at the items right here, Ohab already has the Demon Hunter sword, so the frontliners, Vin as well as R7, are going to be a bit squishier in his eyes. So that is something that we have to be careful about.
Play will not be able to activate the Real World Manipulation in time. That's another kill. Giving up the time to Blacklist, but Albert trying to spin. Will not be able to find a kill. Unfortunate for Rrq.
That was ults and a chicken sandwich thrown in there to take down one. But it's not done.
It's not going to be enough. It's going to be Haji. Will not be able to push Bin right into the wall. Blacklist International walks away alive.
That's a tough situation, man. We said Rrq has no targets on the side of Blacklist International, but the opposite is not true at all. If Clay gets hit by any kind of crowd control, the follow-up is more than enough to ensure that he gets taken out. So he is a sitting duck for the members of Blacklist International.
You know who's a sitting duck? Oh my penis. Concealed right out of there. Albert, just not enough damage.
You mean invisible duck? Conceal play, saving the queen there. And again, it just shows that Rrq Hoshi, at this point in the game, mid-game, 6 minutes, 7 minutes approaching, they need to shrink this 4K gold lead. And they're doing their best, right? They're finding things on the map, and it's come to the point where Wise can steal buffs away from Albert. This is a difficult place to be for the baby alien.
I think right now, just Rrq unable to use Albert to find a pickoff. Another thing that we also need to take note of is Skylar 000, right? Going into the clock item as the first item, he needs more time to get more damage to rack out. But once he gets that threshold, you expect Wise to get chunked down very quickly.
later on, though, it's going to be a moment where the Lunos will do a lot of damage. Look at the glass.
Go all the way in. It's going to be R7 wall charge. The Blazing Duet going over the back line. It's going to be Haji everyone the same. The turtle is actually forgotten by both these two teams. But Albert is actually the one that falls. Skylar following suit. Wise will also pick up Skylar as for free. And they will go ahead and try to crack the mid lane open and then rotate over to the turtle.
That choke point became their demise. Rrq Hoshi giving 3 members away for free. The Blacklist. That load lead just astronomical at this point. 8 minutes in, about 7K. This last turtle going for free to Wise, and the map is red.
It's just such a... It's so sad for RRQ. They tried to make the play happen, but they get comboed instead. I was about to say that later on, there will be an extra factor in Skylar being a big problem for Blacklist. But before that can even happen, Blacklist seems to be trying to end the game early. Make sure that the gold lead is just too big.
I saw that, right? You saw that, right? It's so weird. Albert was trying to invade, take the purple buff. Don't forget, a Fanny without a purple buff is basically playing the game with half your hand. Albert is doing exactly that.
Well, where did the purple buff go is my question. Now it's Wise's turn to do the same. And this time he gets it. No orange for you, sir. Not today. Let's look at the items here. About 9 minutes in. What's going on here, Arashi? Can we expect Skylar to come online soon?
Well, on the other side, Ohab already has the golden staff, so things looking more difficult for him. And Skylar is still so far away from his power spikes. It's going to take a bit longer, man.
Domino Blast across the wall for now. There's the flicker going in. We'll be able to catch Vin at the same time. Real War manipulation coming off for Clay. Providing some support as well. R7 would not be able to find anything at all. Actually, will be the one first fall. But Skylar, here comes the Blazing Duet coming off. We'll be able to pick up R7 in the back line. But unfortunately, Skylar will be able to return that tray. 2 damage dealers for just a Rrq and also the Kufra.
A relatively messy team fight. They engaged with Valentina, Haji getting the wild charge, and was taken down even before it made a difference. So with that being said, where does Rrq Hoshi go this time around, Arashi? What does Albert do?
Albert needs to just be a nuisance right here. There's no real easy target he can just one-shot. So if he just splits the map around, making sure that the members of Blacklist are constantly worried about him moving in out of nowhere, he can allow the rest of the team to just do damage, because we saw that Skylar, despite only having a Cup of Destiny, is beginning to do a lot more damage. So, yeah.
Personally, I feel like, guys, Albert has been going out without a purple buff. Hold on a second, he may actually be able to do something for now. Skylar will be able to shred all my bitters in the back line at the same time. Skylar almost close to take down Haji though. But back to my point, I think Albert has gone 3 minutes without a purple buff. And look what Blacklist is doing.
They're just starving him.
Yeah.
That's key. And again, if his goal is to split up the map and maybe pick up a purple along the way, then that's just gravy on top, right? And they're not out of the woods just yet. There's a small win here that they're looking at, a possible push up top.
I think, ladies and gentlemen, we gotta take a look back at this game. If you notice Blacklist International, they did not clear the purple buff. If you notice, the purple buff is there, but it's only that small little dude, right? Right now, what Blacklist International is doing is basically starving out. There's only one purple on the map.
And they've turned it into a bait? Because look, they're engaging.
Look, they're engaging for now. It's going to be Albert this time around, unable to secure the purple buff for now. It's going to be Min that actually falls. Engaging coming up from Rrq. Skylar is trying to be doing some damage by the backline, but will not be able to find it. R7 going in. The Blazing Duet coming in the backline. The Aluminum Blast charges will not be able to connect on top of Skylar for now. Albert coming in for sweep. Haji will be the first team to fall, coming up from Blacklist alongside with Haji.
2 for 2, and just like that, key members going down. Vin and R7, while Blacks International, I wonder who made this call. I'm pretty sure it's the Queen. They go straight for the Lord.
Straight for the Lord. But Albert is trying to make a play happen here. He is alone. He's actually 3v3.
He does have the retribution, ladies and gents. It's all about the retribution. Albert will not be able to do so. He will lose it live to the Queen.
Instantaneous punish. Arashi, what's Rrq Hoshi to do?
They need to play more conservative, man. I think that when they try and counter-engage with the wild charge, they're finding a lot more success. But Blacklist is not letting them breathe at all. Right now, Rrq are trying their best to clear the waves. And if you look at Skylar, the damage is starting to build up. He has a Divine Glaive. And if you look at R7, he has a Blade of Despair as well. So the damage is available. It just needs to land on the right person. But of course, Ohab already has the Athena shield as well. Unwilling to ensure that he does not get shut down, get picked off by the members of Rrq.
Game 2 draft, again, it was so easy for Blacklist to defend. Again, just build physical defense. But now I'm liking the damage coverage. There's a good amount of magic, good amount of physical, especially from R7. I am afraid to walk into his Rrq in a dark alley at night. But now it looks like the choke is continuing. No purple for you, says Blacklist, as they go ahead and pressure all lanes. The map is turning red. The strength of the Fanny is being quelled. Usually you're so mobile, now you're stuck in your base.
Yeah.
I feel for the baby alien.
It feels bad, man. Albert had a wonderful game, number 1, with the Fanny, and I think Blacklist International, that's just ingenious the way they start about the map, right? Right now, if you notice, there's no 2 purple buff. There's only 1 purple buff in this whole land of Dawn, and this is insane strategy coming out from Blacklist.
What's really difficult for Rrq right now is also the fact that Clay is very, very behind. He finally now builds the glowing wand, so this will be a big factor. Multiple instances of damage will be buffed by that item, so in these fights, if it draws on for long enough, there's going to be a lot of extra damage coming in from that Eve, and also a lot of percentage HP damage coming in towards Edward, Wise, and Venus. So we'll have to see if that will be enough for Rrq to win the next team fight. I think they have to play it a lot slower for just a bit longer, man. They need items to ensure that they have even a chance of making a comeback.
Yeah, about a minute before the Lord spawns, so that should be a good indicator. Should be a nice way to say, you know what, we'll wait for that Lord, and then we'll make a play. Looking at the players' gold here, Skylar, at least the gold is going to the right people for Rrq Hoshi, right? It's going to their gold laner, and I'm still waiting. We saw a little bit of that taste. And Jay's, you're right, man. Oh, Bert comes here, like, oh no, that's miserable. They left a tiny one for me.
Yeah, and the worst part is going to be Wise already at the purple buff. Basically, Blacklist reading Rrq's movement like an open book. There's nowhere that Albert will be able to do anything. Once again, Wise did the purple buff away from Rrq.
I mean, Blacklist are moving so well, and Rrq are trying to get a pick off, but when you have a Kufa as your main engage tool, it's very one-dimensional. As long as the front line does not leave any gaps for the Kufa to dash into, the backline, Oheb and Haji is relatively safe.
Oh, that's a straight coming off from Skylar. There's a lot of damage going in. Edward is desperately trying to survive, but here comes Oheb as well. He's laying down. The BMI doesn't even well, but Haji will be able to come in the first kill. Haji in will be able to delete Haji right over that. Oh my goodness, charges. It's going to be the pin stuck right in the bouncing ball, and now it's going to be Blacklist. They do have Oheb, and they'll push out the fang, and R7 will fall. 3 members falling just for the cost of Haji.
The KDA machine takes 3 down along with him, and Blacks International is ripe for the pick, and they can do anything they want. Force an inhibitor, take Lord here, that is Luminous. Arashi, what's the best call?
They have to try and clear the wave as much as possible. I mean, Albert has already tried and done that, but in the bottom side, 3 members of Blacklist trying to make sure that they can do something.
Manipulation, Oheb is already half HP. He has to slow down Clay. That's only person that actually defends for now, but at the same time, Wise starts down the Lord.
It's a 1v1 that Wise has started.
Albert.
And it looks like he can. Albert!
Albert will not be able to connect. The split. Unfortunate passive is not full enough for Edward to jump on top, but it's already Wise, already on the job right here, putting down some damage on top of the Lord. It's going to be a free Lord over to Blacklist International.
So much pressure coming from Blacklist, and they waste no time at all. Getting the Lord, they go for the purple buff yet again. All the Blast being charged up.
Luminum Blast gets cancelled, but that is okay because Haji can also engage for Blacklist International. Finn catches Wise, but oh my god, Albert cannot do anything for now. Blacklist International will push up their advantage, but they have another Lord marching down bot.
Just as quickly as Albert cabled on through, he says, nope, never mind. That's 5 members of Blacklist I could be walking into. Looking at the items here, Blacks International, they're at the 52k threshold. Give them maybe 10 more, 15 more, they should start building into everything and they can juggle. Rrq Hoshi, I'm seeing some blanks for Skylar, even Clay. So again, they have to extend that limit wherein that magic damage is going to hurt Arashi.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Lord charging in, Oheb has to BMI all the way out. The damage will be down for the side of Blacklist International. There's a free Lord marching in from the bottom side. Clay force the real one manipulation going all the way up. No damage, no follow-up coming up from Blacklist. They will take what they can, take down bottom lane.
They're able to get the bottom side turret, and now they're just playing it very, very patient. They understand that they don't have to do anything extraordinary. If they just play calm and calculated, they are set for success with a 12k gold lead right now. And as you mentioned, Leo, the magic damage is going to start to hurt, but if you look at Blacklist items, they are Radiant Armors and Athena shields all over the place. They are well prepared for those late game team fights.
So it's going to come down to utility, right? It's going to come down to what you got. not, well, both. What you got and how you use it, right? It's about the engagement, and maybe that's where Vin is going to be more important. They forced out a flicker from Clay this early on.
I think the most important thing is how Blacklist has full control, and look at what they're doing right now. He's leaving a free, I don't know, gift behind for Albert. Albert's not going to do anything. He is now, unfortunately, it hurts to say this, guys, Albert is just a split push minion.
Yeah, no, because of the fact that there's 2 Lords for Blacklist so far in this 18-minute game, we're approaching that. The waves are just so much more powerful.
Albert, that's a very dangerous neighbor for Will. He has the cable all the way out. Blacklist International actually putting up some damage from the side, but Aluminum Blast actually charge out. R7 using the wall charge again on the way. They don't want to engage Blacklist in this form.
And now Blacklist has uses a bunch of ultimates. The Lord, fortunately, is not up, but Rrq, they understand that they have an opportunity here, a small window where Venus does not have the Luminant Blast. They might just get emboldened by it. They might be looking for a chance to try and make something happen, but of course Blacklist already just waiting, setting up traps around the map for the members of Rrq.
What's this last item that Clay is building towards? Could that possibly be necklace or
Winter?
Winter
Truncheon?
I feel like he would just, at this point, require a lot more damage.
Yeah.
I think the Holy Crystal would make sense, but we'll just have to see, man. It all depends on how the game progresses. And now with the Lord up, Blacklist yet again is pushing the tempo, and Rrq might be forced to engage onto one of the tankier members of the front. That is not what they want.
Do they know this? There's 3 members of Blacklist up there. Is there vision on this? Because this rotation could be lethal. And I'm talking about both of them. This could have been a map absence from Blacklist, but no, they're looking for an answer. They're just making sure that they choke away the purple.
The lack of information is hurting, especially Rrq, but at the same time, Edward tries to really try to buy some time. Albert is the one that can stun out. He has a cable all the way out of there. Blacklist International, they're looking for the hunt. They're looking for the assassin from the side of Rrq. Nothing to be found right there. The Luminous Blast lands on top of the Kufra, but would that be enough though? Blacklist International, I think they could spend it too much, and Vin jumps all the way in. The real world manipulation, but that's a nice iron ultimate coming up from Vin. Hopefully to try to change the game around. Skylar will be able to take down OM, and Blacklist International may have overstayed their welcome. Edward desperately trying to do some damage to the R7, who actually possessing for now. I think Blacklist International, they overstayed their welcome.
That was a 1-for-1 in the end, right? Gold laner for gold laner. And if you're 10k behind, 11k behind, I see that as a win. Rrq Hoshi, they walked into that fight with conviction, and they walked away with a small win.
Right now, Lord, 4v4 fight. Skylar, go both gold laners. There's no pushing power coming out. It's up to Vin to try to set this up.
Oh, Vin is trying to make the engage happen, but that's a lot of damage being traded on back to him. Look at Omar Venus making the play work.
Luminous Blast going in. It's going to be the wall being built by the side of R7. And we're trying to be a nuisance right here, but he's dragging the Vin towards it. Wise is actually working on top of the Lord. But now Albert trying to spin. Clay, he has a damage. He takes down the Valentina. And now it's going to be Valentina. He's trying to desperately try to do some damage control. Oh, just respawn. He is trying to make a beeline, but here comes R7 wall charge. Looking 2 members out from the side of Blacklist. It's going to be a back-to-back fight at the Lord Pit.
It's a 4v5 right now, 20 minutes in. Every single death is painful. Every death timer will be upwards of a minute if you make the wrong mistake, right? So this is very dangerous. Rrq Hoshi have found a window.
Vin charging out all the way up. Oh my goodness, there's nowhere to be there. Wise is actually going in to activate the with the horn already. It's going to be Albert trying to look for some pickup right there, but the wall is actually blocking OM. And it goes. The Clay coming in with the wall manipulation. Wise has to run away. OM and the back line with the blessing to win. Not good enough, but would be good enough to take down R7 for now. Skylar still in the midst right there. He does have the Chaos Assault, but has to bomb the Venus at the same time. So my business, that's what he tried to stun. Vin will try to push a scrappy forward for both teams.
2-for-1. I was just talking about death timers, and that's about 40 and 50 for Vin and R7. It's a 3v5 for the next 30 seconds.
It's 4 members of Blacklist against Rrq, who do not have a frontliner. That is a dangerous game they're playing right now. Unfortunately for Rrq, the waves are still pushing in their favor, so they have a bit of a window, but Blacklist will not stay silent for long. They're already trying to get control in the Lord Pit, and R7 still 15 minutes away from respawning. Blacklist might just force it, or they might just bait a fight for Rrq.
Fun fact, ladies and gents, Albert finally got his purple buff, right? Now he's actually playing the game. Blacklist, on the other hand, you know, they've got Wise coming back up. Rrq, they know they cannot accept this fight. They've got 2 members down. Clay, real world manipulation is available, but I don't think they can do anything for now.
They send Albert home at half health.
Oh.
Charge up some energy.
And one flicker, Clay will get possessed. Oh no, real one manipulation go in. Albert is really trying to go in the save. Haji will be taking the real one manipulation away from the side of Clay. Will be responding, but the main prize right here is Wise. Focusing on the Lord instead. Haji will be able to take down Clay. Oh, that's great. Oh, the Lord. It's crazy games coming out from Rrq. But Blacklist International, they're not giving up. They will take the fight with the Dragon going in. Scala already gone. It's going to be the Lumina Blast country. Members of Rrq, it's going to be Albert that's trying to defend. But Rrq, they took the Lord.
5v1. This is a dangerous place to be. They pop the immortality on Baby Alien, and they're going to ride this minion. It's just 1 minion. Is
It's
this
just
enough?
2 minutes from Blacklist International. They take game number 3.
Match point, ladies and gentlemen. Match point for the world champions, and the King of Kings in home court are sweating the kingdom all over, sweating. Arashi, this is recovery. This is a streak broken. This is Blacklist.
This is Blacklist, and now Rrq with their backs against the wall. They need to find something that works, and they need to find it fast.
The canvas of this draft needs to be painted.
And again, change the palette, use new colors. And when I'm talking about that, I mean switching sides, because it's been Rrq on blue all throughout. Let's see if we'll see a switch up this time around. Indeed we do.
Yes.
It's Blacklist this time around on blue. They take out the Franco to join the Eve, open with a Farsa pick, while Rrq Hoshi, they got a 2-pick swing back. They battled the 1-1, the glue, and the carry.
First off, from Blacklist, it's going to be that Farsa. There's so much roam potential, decent amount of crowd control, and of course that long range that Blacklist has been completely abusing. So right now for Rrq, now that there's a very juicy target there, will they try and risk going for an assassin again? Because we've seen that that is a possibility that they like to explore. They've been able to just jump on Haji again and again, but of course that depends on how many dive tools they can secure in this pick phase. Oh,
there we go. It's going to be Yuzhong and the Kaja locked in for the side of Rrq. I feel like an assassin could still go very well against Blacklist this draft, but it all depends on this current pick phase, right? Yes, you got the Farsa going in. I'm thinking from the Hayabusa, but Edward is going for his signature Benedetta, and there's an Estes, and now the assassin just doesn't look very juicy anymore, right, Dio?
Yep, I believe in the whole series is the first time since Rrq has switched sides, the Benedetta has come through. And this has happened in M4, I believe, already, specifically in Blacklist series, that they get these 3 first picks in this order. Almost exactly the same. All right? The Farsa, the Benedetta, and the Estes. And here's a few words from Coach Arcadia of Rrq Hoshi. We still have a lot to show you. Rrq Hoshi has many strategies related to tanks. Just wait. So this is what I was talking about. He shared this is One Esports.
Yes.
This is what I was talking about.
Exactly. I feel like if this is a time, or this is a game to pull out tank jungler, you pull it out now. I think Wise has gone unpunished with the Fredrin pick all along, and you best be sure if Rrq doesn't ban away the Fredrin, Wise will pick it up again.
Lunas actually is the pick for Rrq right now. And speaking of past strategies, etc., we've seen that one composition that I've seen Blacklist struggle with is when they're up against a Yuzhong and a Kadita, actually. So that being said, that's still a possibility, but maybe it will get banned out. But Rrq will take away that Fredrin, that very pesky, very useful, very flexible Fredrin away from the hands of Wise.
Yeah, this is just due diligence, right? You take out the glue. Edward has been amazing on it. I still believe that's an understatement. And you take out the Fredrin. I hear you, man. I think they have to start pressuring even Oheb all the more, because he did so well with the Brody, did well with the Claude. The answer by Blacklist, they want to quell and stop Baby Alien from coming through the back line. There's the Fanny. Would not be surprised if it was a Ling. The second ban might be a Ling.
Second ban coming out from the side of Blacklist definitely is going to be a Ling. I feel like Blacklist International has successfully clipped the wings of Albert. Rrq, on the other hand, it's now time to ban. I'm thinking you stick to the Barats. I think the Barats in this particular draft coming up from Blacklist International is super strong. The amount of pick potential that you can do, but no, they're focusing on the Brody instead.
Had to mention it.
Brody, so I think they're going to try and target OHEB potentially, if they can get... I mean, again, they have a Yuzong already with a Lunox, so if they can make sure that OHEB does not have a very secure, a very safe hero, they can try and shut him down, despite the fact that there is a Farsa and there is a Benedetta. If OHEB cannot scale, then the whole Ube falls apart because the main damage output is still in the hands of OHEB.
Are they allowing OHEB to pick up the Claude that's still out there?
I feel like that's a very big question, right? I think when I'm looking at the bans coming from Rrq, I may not be the best drafter out there, but here's my 2 cents, right? You're half banning, technically speaking, in the last point of time, but no, it's going to be Blacklist, limiting that gold lane, the marksman pool even further.
So what's left out there? Irithel, Clint, Beatrix, Harith.
Leslie, maybe.
I mean, I'm a big fan of Leslie, but I feel like, I'm sorry, this is not her meta.
Yeah, no, the Yuzhong is there.
Yeah, not with Wendy Yuzong over there, but wait, I haven't heard this in a long time, but ours, it's gonna be a Ling from Albert.
That's the baby alien. Again, we read this second ban from Blacklist to be the Ling.
Yeah.
They didn't do it, and of course,
That's a bait.
Rrq obliges. There's the Ling. Oh, are you... A bait?
Could be a bait.
Could be.
Like allowing it? Like,
I mean, we've seen that they were able to completely shut down a purple buff reliant jungler.
Correct.
So letting the Ling go, this might be exactly what they're aiming for. But
I
of course, Albert is no stranger to those situations, so we'll have to see. It will all come down to the rest of the picks.
That's right, Arashi. I think it's all about, whether Rrq realizes that that's a problem. Because if you watch that previous game, Albert has no purple buff for a good whole 10 minutes of the game. He's practically useless.
yeah, so far Blacklist has been able to solve the Lancelot, the Fanny, and then now that the Ling has come through, we'll see if that's actually in the cards as well. And eventually, of course, the Aldous makes it through, and then the Harith. Both signature picks for the remaining players of Blacklist International, Wise and OHEB.
One more pick for Rrq to try and address this issue right here, but it's looking very, very solid. Signature picks all across the board for Blacklist. It's a bit surprising how we ended up here, but considering their hero pool, you can't really say you're that surprised for Blacklist.
Now, I think the biggest question is a lot of stress, a lot of pressure will be on Rrq. It's up to Vin with the Kaja to try to pick up the right targets. Do you pick up, the Harith that's zooming around? Or do you pick up the Aldous that's going to go to the back line that just wreaks havoc? It's basically like a dive comp coming up from Blacklist International as well. And there's also that global map presence that could match that link as well. So this is it.
If I may, it's a dive comp with a global box. Because again, you have the Farsa, and then you have the Aldous Chase Fate. So as long as Blacklist plays to their tempo, then they can do what they're planning. But with the way Rrq drafted, might not be so easy. They have a Yuzhong, they have a Kaja, and then they have a Ling. So there's a lot from the early, mid to late that they can do to disrupt Blacklist International.
And this is a pattern we've seen from game number 1. When there are too many problems that Blacklist need to address in the middle of a chaotic fight, sometimes 1 or 2 will slip through, and that is all Rrq needs to try and get an advantage. We'll have to see if they are prepared for this essentially triple dive coming from Rrq. But ladies and gentlemen,
we're going into game 4, possibly match point. In the studio, we are throwing it over to our Bahasa counterparts. But for all of you all around the world, welcome to the land of Dawn. This is match point. Blacks International sitting at 2-1 against Rrq Hoshi.
Really, I cannot emphasize this enough. Match point is what's at stake here, ladies and gentlemen. This is game number 4 in the favor of Blacklist International. Rrq, it's up to them to try to equalize. Results has not been well for the side of Rrq, but Blacklist International, this is still, technically speaking, a upper brackets.
I've seen this again and again, but the Aegis has been used very early by Blacklist every single time.
Yeah.
And look at this roam coming in from Haji.
Oh, that's
Might
a
just pay off.
load of damage. The Petrify will be able to walk on the way. It's now Edward time to fly away, but Clay is there. He's trying to do it in chaos, but the stun coming out from Clay. What is going on for the side of Blacklist?
An eye for an eye. Edward missed it, and that's just how the world goes. Everyone blind when violence rules. Oh man, this is what I was talking about. This is what we were talking about.
Yep.
If Rrq puts so much on the board, Blacklist can't answer back.
Another thing that Rrq needs to really pay attention and take advantage of this is the potential, the fact that early game, Blacklist should be weaker.
Of course, they have a lot of late game heroes right here.
Too many.
And in the mid lane at least, the Farsa can be a big problem. but everyone else needs time to scale, especially OHAB and Wise, the two main carries. So that is the window that Rrq can take advantage of, and they are no stranger to this position. They know how to take advantage of their opponent's weaknesses.
Yeah, something interesting as well, if you notice how Wise is actually taking the stacks, but hold on, Skylar is actually getting caught by this Estes circle as well. Vin doesn't really have the ultimate, so has a doubt of that. They touch and they go. Skylar takes some damage.
Lord spawning in a few seconds. You can see how Wise is hovering around his purple. And you mentioned those stacks. Yeah, this is just Blacklist effort to stop this rampage of Rrq in the early game.
I mean, now with the turtle spawning, actually, not the Lord, Leo, a bit too eager here, but Skylar here gets jumped on.
Someone falls going in. Haji will be in and down the left by the airstrike. At the same time, he's going to be in. Doesn't really have the divine judgment. He's actually going to get denied. Not a very good fight coming up from Rrq, losing their marksman, but here we come. Oh, Vin, okay, gets marked, but Blacklist will not pull that trigger.
Oof, that's unfortunate, man. They almost got the kill onto OHAB, but they're a bit too clean with it. The battle spells are available, but as a result, they're able to get the turtle, knowing that there's a lot more members of Blacklist in the bottom lane. Edward is coming in, being a bit of a menace there. But so far, it's still pretty even, and Blacklist are the ones actually with a bit of a gold lead, not the start that Rrq is looking for.
You know, Hoshi, I will agree to disagree right here, right? Because you don't want to be even against a late game comp. You want to be ahead. Right now, Rrq is just barely scratching the surface in terms of the gold lead of Blacklist. But let's take a look at the items, Leo.
Well, I mean, you can see that the far side is building towards the Clock of Destiny. Later on, that will be a big problem. The earlier, like, Haji gets it, the more it's going to be a problem. But for now, you can see Albert just happy feet, dancing around.
Happy feet.
But there's just, without a real solid engage, so far, no real movements happening just yet. Vin, though, is the one person that can change that.
You know what surprises me is the fact that top lane has become mum. After that action-packed 30 seconds, Edward and R7 are like, yeah, no, we're not doing it. But bottom, though, Zaman forced out. And Vin and the rest of Rrq Hoshi in the vision, in the sights of Blacks International. Again, I miss this. This is one key use of the Aldous ult. It's just for pure vision.
Just ulting it for vision, that is definitely a creative use of the ultimate. And knowing how Blacklist can maneuver around with vision, right, with information, that is a very dangerous weapon, and Rrq needs to respect that. At any moment, they like setting up traps, and it can be exposed by that Aldous as they make a move towards the bottom side, but yet no real result right here.
That's the problem about the Kaja, right? You need to rely on that Flicker ultimate to land down these strucks. Like, let's take a look at the emblems for now. As both these two teams, they won't be able to find anything on the bottom side.
It's just a lot of movement speed and cooldown. I mean, it's just how it is, right? Utility becomes so important for both these teams right now because both of them are not making simple mistakes. They need to be forced into those errors. Otherwise, it's going to be a very slow and calculative game. So with that being said, I think that Rrq has a few more tools to work out with. The Blacklist have the counters as well. This is why the drafting phase was just so confusing, so difficult to predict.
Yep, again, something tells me that Aldous ban from a couple of games back in the series, Coach Arcadia, Coach Achille, they were on to Blacklist. They knew that this was up. So here, 5 minutes in, second turtle going for free over to Rrq Hoshi. Blacklist knows their timing still. They know that this is not the time to fight.
I respect that, right? If you notice, even the crowd, they identify that there's no point for Blacklist to try to contest the turtle. Rrq, I think the main goal right now is to try to take down as much structures as possible, especially the top-bottom side. You don't want to allow Wise to just walk around gaining resources.
But I mean, you can see the Blacklist is trading very smart, intelligently as well. They are not letting go their turrets for no reason. They always try and find something extra, and this is why it's so annoying. Once you think that you have an edge over Blacklist, they just equalize, and look at that damage though. No. That is something that Rrq can definitely use.
What damage? See, he's fully healed. Right now, it is Blacklist time to do the damage. This is kind of crazy, but here comes Abdab. It is going to be, oh my goodness, actually taken down. R7 will be trying to look for the pickup right here on the back line, but I don't think Blacklist is ready for the fight right now. Edward is actually trying to try to find some time. Elba picks up another kill. R7 will also do that soon. 3 member going down. This is not a fight that Blacklist International want to do.
We just had to call it, right? Vin with just a split second to decide, pulls Oh My Venus into RRQ's death ball, and they get 3 for free. Now they're going to capitalize, push this top lane tier 1, and now the map is much smaller. How can Blacklist recover?
I mean, James was saying, what damage? That's the damage you're looking for, man. When they combo the spells properly, that is a lot of potential pick-off for the side of RRQ. It's not just Vin pulling out Oh My Venus to ensure that no healing is done. It's also R7 with his eyes set onto Haji at every single fight, one-shotting him if the Petrify is available.
It's not so easy for Blacklist. Again, yes, they have the vision. Yes, they have the box, the space. But when you're fighting a lineup like RRQ has, again, that's a mid-Lunox.
Real world manipulation. Sorry, not a real world. Feather airstrike going in. Nothing can be found for now. Skylar doesn't connect the random shot. I think right here, Blacklist International is just desperately buying for time. This gold lead still okay for RRQ, but I think they need to do more. They need to crack open mid lane.
They're still leading right now, but they're also working against the clock. The late game is dangerous, but the early game.
Edward getting surprised, but he'll be able to get out alive right into the healing hands of Oh My Venus. That is the question I ask you, Hoshi. What damage?
Well, fortunately, Edward was able to survive in the situation, and now Blacklist are the ones actually trying to make a play, but they're sandwiched between RRQ. That might not be the best result.
And not only just that, it's going to be Skylar getting tagged by the Elders as well. Haji going in, the Zaman Force already committed at the same time. Lunox is forced to use the Brilliance, but now R7 is looking for the engage. Albert trying to look for the backline. It's going to be the Zaman Force, but Albert will be taking down the Queen for now. This is not a fight once again. Blacklist is not ready, and they will lose 2 members.
This is a battle of combat mobility, right? There's map mobility, there's combat mobility. You saw how Wise had to walk through the walls. You saw that he was like, oh, Albert, that's not fair. You're on top of the walls. He just couldn't join the fight. And that's just one weakness that Blacklist has built in. And now, RRQ's going to choke off those resources.
Personal.
Yeah, this is tough. This is revenge from game 3.
RRQ is saying that this is personal. Literally taking away the purple from Blacklist.
Looking at the items right here, Blade of Despair and a Malefic Roar completed for Skylar. It's going to be a lot of damage, but looking at R7, he only has the Hunter Strike. That will be plenty to deal with any squishy member. And as you mentioned, Leo, if they can't kite away, if they can't find ways to survive from the Black Dragon, it's going to be a very tough backline play for Blacklist International.
And look at the clapback, right? Look at the capitalization of RRQ. Straight up, going for that inhibitor. They popped the shield. Whoa. They left a little bit of
Oh, my Venus! No way! Vin going in for the duck! Normal healing from the side of Blacklist. But it is going to be RRQ losing R7 for just that.
Wow, that was a great play, but R7 goes in very aggressively. And unfortunately, he gets taken out. It might not be the best scenario that RRQ is looking for, but nonetheless, they're taking away all the turrets available for Blacklist, trying to make sure that they have all the macro advantages they need to deal with an Aldous in the late game.
You know what's curious is in that engagement, Oh My Venus didn't use the ult, Oh My Venus didn't use the Aegis, so something tells me it was all according to plan.
Exactly. Blacklist, Oh My Venus has died probably 2 times already without activating the ult, without activating the Aegis. This is not a very good game. Blacklist is still not on form yet. Right now, RRQ, they have the tempo and they're trying to push as much as possible. This is, once again, a little bit too personal against Blacklist.
They want to make sure that they get all the buffs available, denied from the side of Blacklist International.
But Haji secures it.
Haji secures that.
But yet Haji is able to secure it. This is why it's just so irritating. But now, knowing now that R7 has the Petrify available, this is going to be a very dangerous fight for Blacklist to try and commit to if they want to try and contest this Lord.
Yep, it's already spawned, and there's 4 men here. R7 in the wings. Clay just making sure that they make quick work of it. And just like that, Blacklist on the back foot. Wise securing what little resources he can. Run, Wise! Oh, that's all of RRQ on you.
Vin, the conceal play going in the slow, and here comes the down. Wise will be the victim of RRQ's feisty pickup.
That is a potential, man. When you have the map control, you can ensure that even though Wise is near his turret, it does not even matter. Everyone else needs to deal with the other lane, and that is how you can break up this team fight-centric composition from Blacklist International.
That
Take
damage.
a look at the items right here. Clock of Destiny and Lightning Truncheon done for both the Lunox and the Farsa. But on the other hand, Demon Hunter sword built by Skylar to ensure that in those long, prolonged team fights, the DPS will still be readily available.
Worst case scenario, Blacklist International loses inhibitor or two. Best case scenario, they find a way to defend inside their base. But at 11 minutes, with almost 7k ahead, Rrq Hoshi, it's looking like it's worse for wear now. They can't fight, not like this.
Better strike going in the same time. The Brandon Shaw will be able to call it on Haji, but the hot side is already getting broken for now. Being tried up now. It is once again the Queen, but we will not be able to survive any longer. It's going to be wide, trying to chase out, trying to build, but the Lord is actually forgotten by the side of Blacklist. Rrq, they take the Queen and the top side.
2 for 1. And throughout all this, they take down Skylar, and Oheb is sitting at 0, 0, and 4. Albert choking away at Wise's resources. Arashi, at what point can we say that Blacklist can clap back and Blacklist find the way in? Because so far, Rrq Hoshi, I think they're willing to make these trades for permanent objectives.
I mean, Rrq, they have lost like 5k gold lead, but now Haji's getting jumped on.
Oh no, that is big problem for the side of Blacklist. It's going to be all trying to desperately try to shut down the dreams of Rrq, but he will lose his life as well. It's just 3. It's a scrappy fight.
This is a reckless trading being done by Rrq, and it's not good. Whenever teams start trading kills back and forth, the team with the late game composition usually comes out on top. With a Harith, with an Aldous in their squad, it's going to be a bit dangerous for Rrq to keep doing this. They have to play calculated and ensure that Blacklist gets locked into their own base, because otherwise it's going to be very difficult.
Man, look at this. Wise is just like getting free stacks.
Yeah.
Just serving up to him like on a silver platter.
Like a buffet.
Like a buffet.
Like a buffet. He's building a hybrid. This is the El Clasico Aldous Blacklist build. You have the Brute Force, you have the Thunderbelt. One Malefic Roar just for sure, just for safety. And then he's building an Athena's Shield. For Rrq Hoshi, I mean, again, they've grown so much from the draft from game 1 to 4 so far. Yep. Coverage, check. Protection, check. Aggression, check. And now, this is a Luminous Lord. This could be it. If Rrq takes this, and then they win more team fights, it's over. We're going to game 5.
It's about the positioning of Haji. That's a lot of damage coming out with Skylar, but oh my goodness, is around there. I don't like how, oh my goodness, actually position, and once again, right into the head of Finn! Real one animation, this really trying to cover the damage, but R7 will be there. It's going to be the member of Blacklist International, but here comes Wise! He is hungry for the kills, and Blacklist International shuts down Rrq.
3 for none. 3 for none, and they're gonna go for the Lord right at the least point, right where you did not expect it. Blacks International claps back and just in time. R7. Oh!
R7. Another point over the side of Wise. The stack is so unsurmountable. Haji forces the Albert to run away. Lord given over to Blacklist.
4v1 Arashi. What's Rrq to do here?
They have to try and recover, man, but the gold lead is down to 1.4k only. It is a very dangerous situation for Rrq to be in. I was about to say, before the previous fight, that Edward is the unseen member that can be a deciding factor in these big fights, and he completely delivers. He turns it around, and now Blacklist are the ones with a gold advantage. What a disaster for Rrq.
Once again, it's so weird to be fighting on this side of the map. Haji activated for the airstrike at the same time. Finn wouldn't be able to catch up for anyone for now. And it's going to be Rrq zoning the Blacklist zoning Rrq away.
For the better part of 15 minutes, I get you, Jays. The fact that we haven't seen Blacklist cross the river in so long, that's just the result of the hard work of the mission accomplished by Agent Zero. You're right, Edward has been doing so much to draw lines across the map to make sure the Blacklist can make moves and can clap back the way they have now. And just like that, the gold lead swings over it. Is that, Albert failed. Albert to take it.
Missed the purple and will get ultimate right now. It's Pandemonium over the side of Rrq as well. And this is a big problem. Blacklist International has a bit of gold lead.
Off the bat, Blacklist International now has the lead. They have equalized in the gold division. They have a lead in range, and they also have a lot more sustain and an infinite scaling hero. On paper, this is a done deal, but Rrq, they are known to do something so crazy it might just work. That is what we're looking for right here. They have tried to just pick up Oh My Venus and Haji, and so far it's been working high enough. They need something better though.
Wrong neighborhood, Vin. That's a bad place. The Brats is going to be OM as well. There's no way OM to be here. But here comes Wise. Something great for the backline. Look at the damage coming out from Wise on top of OM. It's on top of the Skylar. And none of the Rrq member actually fall. The fight that comes into a little bit so long. Blacklist needs desperately to get out of the way. Albert, the healer, is gone. Rrq, they reign supreme. They're looking to end the game. This is personal.
The last two members of Blacklist International on the map, Edward and Wise.
No way.
Rrq Hoshi are on a manhunt. And
No
they
way.
got Wise. It's over. It's over. 5v1. Edward, he's fighting for dear life. Can he do it? Oh,
I don't think so, Leo. Rrq will be equalizing the series.
We're going to game 5, folks. We're going to game 5. The Sang Raja claps back. Not here. Not in our home turf. We're going to game 5.
Looking forward to a full series between Rrq Hoshi and Blacklist International. And I was just talking that they have to try and do something different. And they go and pick off the Harriet of all people. What a performance coming in from Rrq. They are here, still in the fight.
Hi, Leo.
Yeah, and again, if we know these two teams, we know their tendencies, and they have to pull out all the stops. If they want to stay in the upper bracket, this is their last chance. Coaches are on point. They're at the helm. Players are going to follow through with the plan. Here we go. Game number 5. The last one in this best of 5. There goes Rrq Hoshi going on the play, batting out the glue and the carry. Blacklist takes out the 1-1.
Remember in the previous game, Rrq switched sides, and that seems to be very beneficial for them. They will not have the same opportunity this time, so that might just be a big factor. All the way in the beginning, though, we do see a glue and a carry, as well as a 1-1 and a joy. One side wants to get rid of these prio annoying heroes. The other wants to get rid of all this mobility, all this dive potential.
So much is open right here, ladies and gents. Rrq, I think they want to take the E because it's their first pick. It's up to Blacklist International to ban it away. But at the same time, who do you ban away if you are Rrq?
Well, again, you can ban out the Eve and then first pick the Kaja.
True.
You can also try to leave open possibly the Fanny. I'm not sure if that's worth first picking in this situation. The Grok seemed to play a great role earlier, but no. They're going this certain direction. They're going to take out the Eve, and then they'll play with their box in their own way.
Yeah, I think Blacklist International doesn't want to see the Kaja right here. I think it's a no-brainer right now. Vin is super comfortable on this Kaja. If you notice, also fleeing time being built in earlier just now. That's hooks for days, but no, speaking about hooking, they take away the Franco instead. Kaja left open.
I mean, Franco is also a signature pick from Vin. I think last season in our own MPL ID, he was able to show that he can completely take over a game if he's given someone with such utility. But the first pick is going to be that Kaja, man. Rrq understands a big part of their success is how successful Vin was able to be able to pick off the members of Blacklist International. That suppression is very, very strong.
Yep, MVP from Game 4 was Vin on this Kaja. I mean, ride the momentum, ride the wave. Take it all the way through the last game of the series. For Blacklist, though, what's left open? There's a lot on the board. There's the Farsa. There's the Benedetta. There's, what else? Well, Glue got banned out.
I think there's a lot. Like, I think it's right now. I think it's all about these first two picks. What is Blacklist International going to go for? That's the Benedetta going in. That's one checkbox marked. Are we seeing a Farsa going in as well? Do you want to prioritize it early? Okay, we're going to go in. Feels like the replay of Game 4.
Reiterate. That's the key. That's what they're doing here. And then they're going to learn. Again, best believe, the change-up, the switch-up might happen as soon as here, this third pick for Blacklist, or in the second phase during the banning. For Rrq, though, how do they close up their first phase?
I think they require a bit more damage, because now, even with the Divine Judgment, if you don't have any damage to follow up to try and secure that kill before the crowd control wears out, it's going to be a tough situation as well. I think they need to try and lean into that aggression. That is their signature style that we haven't seen in a long time, actually. And we've seen that even against Blacklist, it is a big problem. I think it works out.
Looks like the pick is going to be damage indeed, and they're not going to let Blacklist ban out the Ling. They're not going to wait. They are going to be the aggressors, the initiators. They pick up the Yuzhong and the Ling.
It's all about the positioning of Haji right now on that Farsa, right? R7 on that Yuzhong. It's definitely the Albert on that Ling. There's two items, or maybe not say two items, two utilities that they can use to kind of push away the feather airstrike. So right now, I think Blacklist International switching up the gears a little bit in terms of their execution. Let Rrq engage, we bite them back.
And it looks like the game plan for Bonchan here is to rely on their opponents, see how they're moving. But against Rrq Hoshi, it looks like it's the good old Mlbb. Because, again, they don't have to pull out something new. Instead of picking up the Estes in the slot, they go ahead and pick up the Claude for Oheb.
I mean, Coach Bonchan here being very irritating, right? Just not giving us the confirmation on what he plans on doing. And that is why it's so difficult, right? The elusive mind of Coach Bonchan has just been shown in today's game. We don't really know what he's up to, and yet somehow he finds success. And as you mentioned, with the Claude picked up right here, they have a chance to shift this draft into something more aggressive, or even tone it down and go for something a bit more reactive, right? Something that kites back better.
Yeah, so what's missing for Rrq Hoshi that Blacklist can clamp down on are mid laners or gold laners. And here's a hero that's both. They take out the Lunox.
I mean, you saw that for Blacklist. The fact that there was the Lunox can be so flexible and so safe is definitely something they do not want to have, because Haji relies on being able to go for those level 2 roams, those early game pickoffs to try and get the ball rolling. But quick bans right here, Fredrin as well as the Harith, they really know what they don't want to see.
They don't want this flexible picks coming in from the side of Rrq, right? Like, and another thing I also find interesting, Rrq Hoshi, once the ban from the Fredrin comes out, that's a little bit personal. Wise was able to use the Fredrin almost like 3 games in a row, and it works pretty well. And there you go, the Lolita gets taken out by Rrq Hoshi.
It's not even a choice of Barats anymore, right? They know that that's the only choice left. And I think Coach Arcadia, Coach Achel, they're accepting this, that, hey, he might pick up the Barat, so just ban out one of Oh My Venus's best heroes, take out the Lolita. So now, what's Blacklist to do?
I think the Barats is a good idea here, but I got a feeling that there may be a Diggy coming out. A Diggy time journey would be very good because, first of all, you allow the Barats to basically use the Daytona's Welcome to swallow someone up, and then after that, you also deny the CC coming out from the Farsa so that she can stay in the Feather Airstrike just a little bit longer.
Well, point is, I think for Rrq, they need some kind of DPS. There's no way they intend to take down a late game Barats with a Ling and a Yuzhong, right?
Yeah,
That's a bit of a tough endeavor. So some kind of DPS, either physical or magical, needs to be secured here. Otherwise, they're prone to just fall into the same issue, right? Having a thick front line for Blacklist, and they cannot penetrate. Oh, whoa.
Okay.
That's the Kadira, man.
That's the Shred, and that's the Kadita, and that is Estes once again for the side. Oh my Venus. Blacklist banning away the Lunox makes sense right now. And Rrq, I feel like this is a good draft against Blacklist as well.
Yep, again, expect that Aegis on Oh My Venus to pop within the first 30 seconds. Because again, Rrq has to be super aggressive. And then from there, we'll see how much the gears have turned for Coach Bonchan and if they can change their fate, because Rrq Hoshi are riding on momentum.
I've seen that Blacklist can struggle against 2 pick-off dive heroes, but now with potentially 3 heroes, right, that can be used to engage the fight, is that going to be even more dangerous for Blacklist, or is it just too much from Rrq and they end up lacking something else in their composition?
Arashi, Bakmas Nimta, listen, it's actually 4, right? You count the Kaja too.
You're right.
So Kaja, Ling, Yudong, and Kadira. So Blacklist, when it comes to engagement, they're in trouble.
Yep, everybody can die. But ladies and gentlemen, on to the Land of Dawn we go.
Game 5 here in this best of 5 in the upper bracket. We'll throw it over to our Bahasa counterparts. But for y'all watching all over the world, welcome. This is Rrq Hoshi versus Blacklist International. The last game in this, to be honest, Grand Finals worthy series.
And off the bat, you already see adjustments being made. Blacklist understands the danger, and they have 2 Purifies on their main carries
Yes.
on top of the Aegis. Already a very good solution. Will that be enough though, knowing that there are 4 sources of crowd control from RRQ?
Another thing that I was like, Vin may have taken a lot of damage, but here comes Clay at the same time. Not enough damage from the side of RRQ to kind of shut down the push. Blacklist International once again, oh my goodness, popping the Aegis way too early.
Now, talking about stats, right? Barat is the highest win rate with 100% in 5 games. So Blacklist has this major stat riding off of this game.
I mean, it's a very strong hero in the right situations. And right now, it does seem like later on, when it comes to that macro gameplay as well, they're going to be able to clear waves very fast with this composition. So I think Blacklist is onto something right here. It's on the shoulders of RRQ to try and surprise them yet again. But at this point, you have to wonder, have they done too much already?
Edward dashing all the way out just into safety right here. Albert will get scouted out by Oh My Venus right here. 30 seconds on the clock. It's a race to level 4.
Down bottom, you see that Wise has given Skylar a little visit, helping out Oheb. And again, this is an Avarice Claude. So every bit of basic attacks that Claude can get on anybody, actually, will help Oheb propel straight into that first 2 core items.
Well, we're still in the early game, and we can talk about the picks. We have to note that Clay can play a lot of aggressive heroes, but he is more well known for playing the mages. You have to wonder if that becomes a factor as the turtle is spawning, and it looks like the play is being initiated by RRQ, but Blacklist ain't so far behind, trying to contest the control.
Contesting the control is the name of the game right here, but Clay does have the level 4 as well. It's going to be suppressed. Wise get denied by the ultimate. Wise will also lose the tunnel for now. It's going to be ours. Ring and We're also looking for the pick up of the Blacklist International. At the same time, Wise will be the first to fall. It's going to be Vin. That's going to be just really for Edward. Edward desperately trying to run away. Haji doesn't have the better airstrike. Can only use it now.
Oh, that was just off timing for Blacklist. All of the tools that RRQ needed just fell on their lap, and they capitalized on a good situation, turned it great. Took the turtle, took some kills along the way.
That was a bold move by Blacklist International, trying to contest such an early fight against such a dangerous composition coming in from RRQ.
Now, looking at the bottom lane, the island of the gold laners, at least in that disaster of an engagement for Blacklist, Oheb, you can still rely on him. You can still at least expect for him to do something, right? But when is that going to happen? How can you expect him to do that without the assistance of Haji, without the assistance of Oh My Venus? Because, again, with Albert skyrocketing into the lead this early, 3 minutes in, even Oheb, I feel like might not be too safe.
This is the dangerous part for Blacklist right now. All 3 lanes, essentially, are in favor of RRQ. They have more lane control, lane pressure, but Vin is getting jumped on.
Fede airstrike going in at the same time. Vin looking a bit low. Oheb will be the one that finished the job. It's going to be 1 kill given over to the side of Blacklist. Oh My Venus right here, just healing up Haji, and they're back to fighting shape again.
The road to recovery starts now. What do the items look like here for Blacklist?
Blacklist, Oheb landing down the damage, but would not be able to be enough. But that could be the precursor, and here comes the actual main damage, and here comes the main party. The flicker will be used, but Skyway will be able to get on without. But Blacklist, they're wasting a lot of time in the bottom lane.
Gotta be maximum range, right? Tactical repositioning plus the flicker. That's gotta go on TikTok someday.
That was smooth coming in from Skylar. He just slides out of that very dangerous situation. But right now, you can see that Clay is struggling, man. He wants to get these pickups, but
This
with
might
the
be it.
Purifies, it's just a bit too difficult. They need to time this. They have to count the cooldown and ensure that they go in for the right target once the Purifies are down.
This Fede airstrike's a little bit too early, right, guys?
Yeah, suspect. And it's going to allow Rrq Hoshi to time it up. But this might be because they see that Albert is still going for his purple. And this allows Wise to do the same for his orange. And then they reset. So far, this is good because Blacklist, they didn't expect Rrq Hoshi to pull so far. Turtle resets.
So resets, but look at the Blade of Despair being built by Skylar on that Beatrix. There's going to be a lot of 1v1 kill potential, but Haji has the Clock of Destiny already scaling towards that mid-game. And look at that.
Here comes the Divine Judgment. Wise will not be able to retreat the turtle. Another turtle given over the side of RRQ once again. It is R7 going in a Dickly Dragon form, and that's the problem that Blacklist International couldn't solve.
Just as quickly, I could have sworn the Barats would have survived, but no.
Oh no.
They have lethal intent. Oheb is in trouble.
BMI already pulled out. Vin doesn't really have the Divine Judgment for now. That could be a side reliever. Clay doesn't have the ultimate, so that is still A-okay. But this time around, they may have actually obviously extended just a little bit too much. The better airstrike zoning out the members of RRQ as well. Blacklist International, the big problem right now is that Kaja ultimate.
it's just so difficult. There's a lot of sources of crowd control, and they can deal with that with the Purify. But if R7 or Albert just jumps on you, that's damage, not crowd control. You have to be worried about.
Wesker shot, Skylar walks away with 1 dot.
Ooh, that's again, it's just unfortunate for Blacklist that their attempts at picking off, at countering the aggression of Rrq has not been paying off. And I don't know if it's bad luck or you can call it a good skill coming in, because Rrq are doing very well avoiding these tough situations, even though they do not have the defensive battle spell.
At the world stage, there's no room for luck, all right?
Yes.
Maybe a little, but it's more of because Rrq Hoshi are feeling it. They won game 4, they have momentum on their side, and they have a relatively significant goal lead.
Random shot
yeah.
going in. Oh my goodness, just right in time. The ambulance right now is all about Vin, whether he could catch the right targets.
Oof. Man, Din Hunter Sword has been completed for OHAB. He has a steel leg plates as well, so for now, he has some measure of defense against the physical damage, but that's only until Albert scales and gets his hands on him. At that point, the escape is going to be very difficult, and the fact that Skylar is on that Beatrix means that Rrq can slowly but surely siege down these turrets.
How safely and how just cleanly Rrq Hoshi pressured that bottom lane,
Yeah.
and that's permanent damage. OHAB now can't farm us safely down there, and all the more this opens up this last turtle for Rrq Hoshi. It's 100% turtles for the King of Kings.
Problem is, Vin does have the ultimate as well. Wise need to step on. He needs to try to eat that ultimate. There you go, Vin. Once again, Wise, Vin does not shy! But Wise will be able to heal up just in time. He's trying to look for the victor, but Retribution! Blacklist International take away the turtle, and this could be the turnaround for Blacklist.
R7 barely gets away with his life, but who'd have thought that Blacklist would have taken that turtle?
Yeah.
The mechanics, at least now, Wise is more confident that, hey, after a DJ, I'm okay.
Yeah, the biggest problem right here is that Blacklist International, hold on a second, slowing going on. Nothing's going to happen for now, but let me continue my point. Wise needs to eat the ultimate of Vin. No one else on the side of Blacklist could do anything at all.
I think earlier, Wise was actually dragged by the Divine Judgment.
Yes,
but
correct.
Unfortunately, the Breath of the Ocean from Clay does not land. And now, with Wise having the Radiant Armor, he is going to be a bit tanky until Clay has a bit more penetration to nuke him down. Might be the mid-game that Blacklist is looking for.
Yep, 8 minutes in, they shrank that gold lead, approaching 3 now. It's just barely 1. OHAB jumps in.
Blazing Duet doesn't really stick. But there you go, Blacklist International managed to clear out the topside wave. What is going on around the map? It is the Fed Airstrike going in. The Wesker shot will not be able to connect. It's a little bit too far. Blacklist International takes up topside.
That's clean zoning from Haji right here, knowing that he has a lot of damage in his arsenal. The Lightning Truncheon is not complete just yet,
Oh,
but
my
even then,
goodness.
that needs to be respected by Skylar. He has the Wind of Nature at this point. But, you know, there's still that magic damage threat coming in from Oh My Venus and Haji. That is the main thing he has to be aware of in these big fights.
And now, again, with the past minute or so being all about regaining real estate for Blacks International, they can find better engages. This 1,000 gold lead for Rrq Hoshi, yes, it's significant, yes, it means something, but Blacklist can put up a better fight because, again, of the aforementioned pull.
I don't know whether this is a good idea coming up from Vin, but it's going to be Wise. Getting knocked out the door, but he's getting healed by Oh My Venus, and then all of a sudden Rrq, that's lost their roam. R7 a little bit too low, Clay coming in, trying to put some damage, but Blacklist International, pick one person.
They threw no caution to the wind, and it resulted in Vin being taken down. Blacklist obliges, making a beeline straight for the Lord, and watch that green dot. Dennis Welcome still online.
They waste no time at all, man. Rrq, they might try and contest here, but it might be too difficult. Unfortunately, Blacklist will be able to secure that Lord, and Rrq, they just overestimate their damage, despite Wise just building full tank. They need to understand at what point is their damage adequate to try and pick off, especially the bigger members, especially with Oh My Venus on the sides.
I feel like Blacklist call right here. Wise is the carrot. Vin hooks the carrot, but this carrot is a little bit too big for Rrq's mouth, and they got hurt. Their jaw dislocated, and this is exactly what happened. It worked for the first 2 times, but the 4th time, it doesn't work anymore.
Looking at the items here, 10 minutes in, Arashi, talk to us.
Exactly. I mean, right now, the Blade Armor has been completed for Wise as well. He is getting tankier and tankier. And so far, if you look at the items from Rrq, penetration is not in sight just yet. This might be a mistake, but here we go. Blacklist just sieging, taking away structures with the help of the Lord.
zoning away. That's the name of the game from the side of Blacklist International. But hold on a second, it's a 1v1. Petrify going in for the side of Edward. Albert will be duking it off. The damage of the blade going in. It's going to be a fight. Underneath the turret, it is a trade.
And all that time that Agent Zero bought for Blacklist, Rrq Hoshi are now reeling. They're looking at a map that's red, wondering where it all went wrong, because Blacklist now has a 1K gold lead.
Oh no, Vin flicking forward, but he misses there now. Here comes the punishment coming up from Blacklist International. Better Airstrike will be able to zone Rrq away. Blacklist International stabilized for now.
Oh, they're going to steal this purple away from Albert, who hasn't even respawned yet. We're looking at a Lord in a minute and a half. Arashi, what's going on? What can we expect in the next minute and a half? Because this Lord, this next one is going to be significant.
We can expect Rrq to try and get a pickup yet again, but of course, Blacklist, they adapt. You cannot expect the same thing to work again and again.
Yeah.
And right now, they have the solutions. A strong front line, they can tank most of the damage, sustain to back them up, and even if you want to go for the squishier members, like we mentioned, the Purify is there. So I think Rrq, they have to try and ration their crowd control. They cannot use it all at the same time, because if they do that, then it's easier for Blacklist to identify when they need to commit most of their resources. If they can spread it out a bit more, it's going to be a lot more difficult, and it goes back to that dirty, that messy fight that Rrq usually finds success in.
Two big questions, Leo. Has Haji and Noah have used the Purify? Second question, why isn't Vin catching all my Venus?
I feel like, again, if he was trying to do that with the flicker, unfortunately, he was just barely out of range. Maybe the pressure is getting to him, you never know. But Albert, once again, is going on a duel with Agent Zero. They traded 1-for-1 earlier, but man, it's still beneficial for Edward in this situation, because Albert is level 15.
Arashi tried to answer it, but I was going to say, Jays, I don't have the answer. Blacklist does. At this point, they're in the driver's seat. They're camping here in this river bush, and I'm not sure if Rrq knows.
Man, Rrq does have the map control, brush control in fact, but it needs to be an ultimate coming up from R7. You need to sacrifice that. It's going to be Albert missing that purple buff once again. It's going to be a replay of game number 3.
Oh, this Ling is thirsty. This Ling is hungry. He needs that purple. He needs that perp.
It's unreal, man. Wise is
This could be
able to
it.
steal so many resources, so many purples, but now this is the deciding moment. If Rrq can flank around, this might be the opportunity they're looking for, but otherwise, Blacklist has a chance to completely use this neutral objective and force Rrq into an unfavorable fight.
Oh my god.
Do they know? Do they know? All right, that's it. They revealed it. That's it. Yep, Rrq Hoshi. So they're just trying their best to get a reset here. But can they find it? Lord, less than half health. Oh, here comes Vin.
Here comes Vin as well. It's going to be the Equinox welcome. Will not be able to connect. Clay goes into Petrify, but it's going to be knock up coming up inside Rrq. The damage coming up. Rrq doesn't really click. It's going to be Albert. Not in the way. And Wise pick up Clay. And Albert still standing in the backside. But oh my goodness, walks on in. He reveals the assassin. Skylar comes in. And Nibiru doesn't make anything at all. It's going to be oh my goodness, desperately trying to heal Wise. But Blacklist International, they traded for Clay.
The MPLID Grand Finals MVP fell, and for no reason at all. It was free.
It is going to be the suppression on top of that one. The punishment. Now it's coming in for the re-engage. But Albert trying to look for something over here. But the OM is creating so much trouble. And there's the wind of nature activated at the same time. Albert going in, trying to play with the blades. But he gets zoned out by the members of Blacklist International.
Oh, they baited out so much, but they instead traded out, and it's going to cost them. But at least Blacklist walks away with the Lord Skylar. Skylar had lethal and malicious intentions, but Blacklist says no. 2K ahead, Luminous Lord on their side. What does this mean for Rrq Hoshi?
It means that they're stuck on the defensive and they cannot go for those big flanks. I was about to say that Blacklist are just so patient. They play that fight so slow, and Rrq just weren't able to adjust. But afterwards, Rrq were able to actually get something in exchange for that Lord. That's a small victory, but as you mentioned, having the Lord on top of a very solid front-to-back composition means that now you can force Rrq to go to locations that you want them to be, instead of Rrq being elusive, hiding in the bushes, surprising them with side flanks.
Yeah, now it's come to the point wherein even bush control isn't as important, because you still have to think about those purifies. Now, Chase, Haji has his off of cooldown. Venus has an Aegis. Oheb is waiting about 15 seconds from here. So this Lord push might actually be lethal. They could take an inhibitor, or better yet, they might even threaten a finish.
Rrq does have 2 petrifies. left. It's all about RRQ, how they play this out. The Panda Asteroid will be able to zoning out. That's the Lord defended by RRQ. Blacklist International focus on the mid lane instead. Nibiru's Passion, wave clearing, that's all what RRQ can do for now. Locked in base.
Luckily, Clay has solid wave clear. And again, you're still looking at Skylar, despite the nerfs on Beatrix in the recent patch, they're doing okay. Arashi, what does the items look like? Oh, because Agent Zero.
Oh my goodness, Vin
gets out.
misses the Flicker ultimate, allows Edward to slip on away.
And it's very unfortunate at this point in time. That flicker is a very valuable tool, and Blacklist know that, tries to go for a big play. And the other problem here is Albert, but he's alone right now.
He's alone right here, Edward. Oh, well, Ben needs to get on the way. There's a big dinosaur coming for your body as well, but it's going to be Blacklist International. Manages zone out the members from the side of RQ. Bottom lane is already gone.
Luckily, his body was ready. Baby Alien knows exactly what's going on, and he did not have to fall. I believe it's come to the point wherein RQ knows they're playing with fire, knows that they have bombs in their fists and they're waiting to land that big haymaker. Question is, how do they find that angle?
It's such a difficult situation because Blacklist have all their attention focused onto Vin, and it seems like RRQ, they're only relying on Vin to be the first initiate, whereas they actually have a lot of other tools they can use. They can go with Clay on the Kadira, they can go with R7 with a big flank and Petrify, but they're just not exploring that option, and it's making them seem just a bit too one-dimensional. And against a team like Blacklist, that just means that you are going to be so I don't know, readable, so obvious, and you can see that several times here, Vin has flickered twice and has not landed a pickoff.
Something tells me that's more a matter of conservation. The fact that Clay and R7 aren't being used as much to try to get a kill and get vision is because they're saving them, right? They're saving them, but so far, not like this. This is a defensive Black Dragon form.
Defensive Black Dragon form. Haji activated the airstrike already right off early. Blacklist International know that Albert's all the way up top. Edward has full vision right here, but Blacklist International slowly collapsing once again. A purple buff gets denied away by Blacklist International.
Oh no, the baby alien's not gonna get his num-nums. This is a hard engage. This is tough. When you're playing a Ling this way, I mean, I've heard this from stories. I don't play Ling myself, but when it's like this and your opponents are just denying you your buff, oh, it's miserable.
Yep, once again, ladies and gentlemen, Blacklist International setting up for this Lord dance. It's about who has Lord Pit control.
Sees it for now, it's going to be Blacklist, and they're bursting down the Lord really fast. Vin makes the play!
Vin doesn't connect onto anything right now. Oh, I'm going into place into it. It's going to be, oh my goodness, healing members of Blacklist International all the way to the tip top 4. Oh, will be punishing Vin.
A Lord that's evolved plus Vin. The M-Series All-Timer has been overloaded. Yes, he had momentum. Yes, he got MVP Game 4. But not against a lineup like this. Not against Blacklist, who has figured out exactly what's going on.
RRQ need to adapt, man. They have to try and do things differently. Blacklist has a read on how they want to operate. And now with 15 seconds left on Vin, the Lord is coming in. And high ground favors Blacklist International.
Oh my god, this is a very tough airstrike to defend while Alvin forced to use the Temple of the Blades just to get on there. Here comes the Bandit Rage to try to clear off the members of the side of Blacklist International. He was orbiting the Nibiru's Passion as well. The Lord will get chonged down, but Blacklist International, they do a lot of damage. They crack open the mid lane. That's permanent damage.
That is a main artery taken away from Rrq Hoshi. Albert will not be able to explore the map as freely as he once has in this 19-minute bout. Now top lane inhibitor is going to be next up on the docket.
Here we go. Oh, had petrified, but he was going to get purified. The counter battle spell. Here we go. R7 all the way in the back line, trying to look for, but oh my goodness, desperately trying to heal. But look at where Albert's going. He's looking for the angle, but will not be able to commit. Blacklist International, they stayed a long time.
There you go. If R7 can go in like that, you can see the cooldown on the purifiers for Haji and Oheb are nearly identical because they have to use it at the same time. They are trying to group together for the blessings of the Moon Goddess, and that is something that RRQ can take advantage of, but they need to just plan it out really, really well. And without that vision, without the control, it's just so difficult right now. And Albert has full inventory slots at this point, so he won't be scaling any longer. At this point, it's all about how fast Blacklist can catch up to the 5k gold, can use that 5k gold lead, because RRQ soon both teams are going to be full inventory slots.
Yep, we're about a minute away from this Lord. And again, this is a Lord that scales every minute from now on, 20. Plus, the fact that we are looking at TikTok timers. When someone falls, best believe that is lethal. If a member of yours gets picked off, again, like Vin from the past 15, 18 minutes of this game, then no one comes back from that. So Rrq Hoshi has to be extra careful.
Concealed play, no flicker committed by Vin, that's good. But this is where RRQ has realized that R7 needs to face check every single brush. The best part about Oh My Venus on this Estes, right? Your second skill allow for that vision, right? So that you don't really need to commit. You saw it already being used in the I think it was the second or first Lord dance, right? And it's really come to really good success.
Now, we're about 15 seconds away from this Lord. You see Blacks International playing for purple buff domination. Bombs away from Skylar. And this could be Albert's last chance. Oh, he's so hungry. He wants it. Can he get it?
The question is, but looking how RRQ members come up, the Petrify coming up from Edward will be there, but purple buff will still be successfully secured by
OHEB, I think.
OHEB.
Yeah, as long as it's not on Albert, Blacklist is happy. No num-nums for the baby alien. It's so hard to play Ling this way. I can't stress that enough.
Yep.
Now Haji has a Holy Crystal. That's a lot of damage. One bolt from the airstrike is able to chunk Skylar down to lower than half HP. But look at that snipe coming in. Unfortunately, with an Estes in the composition, Blacklist will be having no issues at all. But look at that play.
Oh, that is the suppression. The Vin needs to try to play with the trucker going in. Here comes the lady to win. No fear for the defenders as well as BMI will be allowing OHEB. Albert will be able to pick up Haji for the time being. It's now up to the Dragon to pull down the damage to punish Blacklist International. Albert will be able to get out with a single down big over health. Right now, Blacklist International in the building. OHEB needs to run away. A scrappy boy from RRQ. But Blacklist International will be the one that got punished.
3 for 3, Clay and Skylar versus OHEB and Edward. This is as scrappy as it gets. Rrq Hoshi pulls out one from deep within. The Sang Raja still in this battle.
It looks so good for them, and then it looks awful, and then it looks so good again. And at the end of everything, it's a 3-4-3 equal trade. But of course, let's take a look at that instant replay by TikTok. Look at that. Initially, the Purifies has been used, and this is the opportunity. Look at Skylar just free hitting in the back. Unfortunately, he's unable to secure that kill. And Albert, he was stuck on the wall here, trying to just kite away from damage. And Edward is able to cut him down. And now Blacklist once again are the ones pressuring for this Lord. They have mobility advantage.
Right now, the Lord dance, ladies and gentlemen, this is exactly what Blacklist is really good at. Right, RQ right now, they have to try to figure this out. Clay got chunked down all the way, go to HP, and now Blacklist all of a sudden they do have the Lord. It is all up to how RRQ plays with it. Albert is that link, could be able to fly all the way to the Lord pit very quickly, but I think RRQ that lost the topside turret for now. It's going to be a rush, a mad rush to the Lord. Albert on the wall right here. They need to try to do something to defend Tribute. Albert goes down the Lord.
The baby alien secures it for Rrq Hoshi, but at the cost of Vin. Now it's a 4v5. Blacks International marching down mid lane.
It is going to be a replay of the previous game, number 3, once again. Even though RRQ was able to take down the Lord right now, it's going to be Blacklist International. They do have a lot of contracts, and now he will be punished. It is nice right now. It's got to get out of there. Oh my goodness, healing the members from the side of Blacklist International. 3v5 happening in the side of RRQ.
The relentless one has the favor turned
They need to do
on
it.
him.
They need to do it.
Take him down.
They need to do something as Blacklist International. They stay in the upper brackets.
Tennis indoor Sinayan can't believe it. Neither could we. But Blacklist International send the Sang Raja down into the lower bracket.
A somber day in Tennis Indoor Sanayan. The audience is definitely disappointed. But of course, there is a victor and there is a loser in these tournaments. And unfortunately for RRQ, today, Blacklist International is the better team. Congratulations for moving on to the upper bracket.
The M3 World Champions feel it. The agents in the stadium are the same. And boy, if you watch the last 5 minutes, you saw exactly how well Rrq Hoshi found their window. And even that Lord take by Baby Alien, by Albert, that was immaculate. But at the end of the day, messy as it was, Blacklist knew the way around the woods.
It's just so crazy, right, ladies and gents? RRQ, this is not over for them. You better be sure they will come back with a vengeance. Blacklist International sending them down to the lower brackets. Not a good storyline for Rrq Hoshi.
They will be bowing down to the Queens for now. We'll have to see, of course, Rrq improving so rapidly in such a short period of time. We can definitely expect them to come back even stronger from this defeat. But for now, we have to let Blacklist International have their moment.
That's right. King Wise and Queen V reign supreme tonight, along with the MV3. Let's give it up for tonight's winners. Staying in the upper bracket, it's Blacklist International.
Give us a good game. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're on upper brackets, it's a best of 5. It's not a sprint, it is a marathon. Best be sure, more games for both of these two teams.
There is a saying, if you're going to go for the king, make sure you strike the kill. But for now, on behalf of Jays and Arashi, at your service, as always, my name is Leo.